Hey everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, M. Night Shyamalan.
Hey everybody, welcome back to M. Night Shyamalan, the Magic Show.
No.
Yeah.
It's our M19 set review.
M19, we're here.
Oh
yeah,
boy.
That's what. Yeah, when we said M19 before, I was like, "Oh, that sounds like M. Night Shyamalan." You got it though. You
I just ran with it.
Feel it. You ran it. You knew. Yeah. Here we are, everybody. Core sets are back. We're here to review the core set this time around.
So here's what's different about a normal episode. We're going to review from a commander perspective. We're not going to grade every card. We're also not going to do a deck like normal, but we're going to talk about all the legendaries and all the cards that seem neat or interesting to the commander format.
That's right. We're going to start with the legendaries because that's how we like to do it. We want to talk about the commanders, and then we'll get to the rest of the cards afterwards. But before we do... we
certainly do want to thank some people.
That's
all
right.
of our patrons, right?
Yes.
Could not do this without you. Thank you for your generous support, hanging out on Discord for any donation value. And above that, getting extra stuff. Also, thanks to Ultimate Guard, sleeves and boxes. Best boxes in the biz, and for my money, best sleeves in the biz. Love my Ultimate Guard mats. They're great. And I also must thank the Wizards Tower, wizardtower.com. Let's hear an ad from them now. Okay, welcome to M19. We're going to do a core set, okay? So want to see some planks for 30 seconds. Okay, and then I want to see some crunches for 30 seconds. And then I want to see you do some things where you kick your legs up and down while you're lying. You know, like imagine, here's the one. Okay, so like you're on your back and you kind of look like a bug on your back and you just kick your legs and your arms and you make them... Anyway, it's a core set, so we got to work our core. It's the most important part of a magic body because this is the part that, you know, all the strength comes from. It's the base. It's where it all comes from. It makes sense to me. You know what also makes sense? Buying magic cards from the Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com. If you use coupon code Summer of Brews, you get an extra 5% off, and you'll get 3% kickback on your next order. And if you order from Canada and you got $15 in singles or more, you get shipping for free. That's a great deal. You know what else is a great deal? Join the Dominaria Gym, and if you sign up for a 5-year membership, we'll give you a quick discount on the first year, but we'll make it up on the third year. It's a very complicated contract. You know how gym memberships are. Look into it.
Yes. Great.
Yep.
The core set.
Core set. Got to do a core set when you go to the gym.
Sure, yeah, exactly. You do need to, and you got to work that out. Got to work that core if you want to be able to be on American Ninja Warrior, for example.
What do you think of their offer, Andy?
The offer?
That they put in the ad.
Yeah, no, of course. The offer is great. I think, any membership is probably... it's very good to have memberships to gyms. So
it is. I mean, I found it a bit confusing most gym.
I mean, obviously, I did too. I did find it a little confusing.
Yeah,
which is why you're getting this from me right now. So yeah,
right.
But I mean, it's good. So let's just try and take advantage of it. You know what I mean? That's
yes,
all. Yeah.
yes. Your health is important.
It is very important. Okay, great. All right. Well, so we're gonna get right into this. It has been a long time since we've had a core set. I believe like Origins was the last core set we saw.
Yeah.
Which was
it wasn't technically.
Yeah, it wasn't technically a core set. Technically, M15 was the last core set, but Origins acted much like a core set and basically had the same type of stuff going on. And it's a bit full circle for us because that was when we started the show. Origins was the new set when we first started Commander's Brew. So
it was our first it
was our first we did we our new set when the show was out was Origins. It dropped while we were doing the show. So that's really fun. And of course, full circle for Commander as well, because we've got some Elder Dragons coming up in this set. That's really great. That's how, of course, Commander started. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's get into talk about some of these legendaries, these new commanders. So there's a cycle.
Okay.
There's a cycle of mono-colored commanders in addition to the Elder Dragons, which we'll get to. But let's run down these mono-colored legends first. So first we have here Linas, Selfless Champion, 4 and 2 white for a 3/3 human knight that says when Linas, Selfless Champion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token for each non-token creature you control, and then sacrifice Lina. Creatures you control with power less than Lina's power gain indestructible until end of turn. I don't know about this card. I know that this is a thing that some knights do. They come in, they make soldiers or whatever. But for this much mana, even like I'm thinking about this in my soldiers tribal deck that would care about this. There's not a ton of non-token creatures. Like it mostly deals in token creatures. So Lina might come out and make maybe 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky soldiers. Like that to me, that's just maybe not good enough. However, her ability is worth something. Her other ability, the sacrifice one.
Yeah, sacrifice. If you can pump her power up somehow with anthems, although that pumps the other creatures too, so that it doesn't change what she saves. But with equipment, that certainly is a good ability. I just worry that white doesn't, like, if you're only talking non-token creatures, then that means that has to be actual cards. So that comes down to your card draw. If you're not drawing a lot of cards, you're not putting a lot of non-token creatures onto the battlefield, and white doesn't do that very well. So this is a tricky commander. Yeah,
there's a devotion, the 6 mana white devotion creature from like Theros is better, I think, in the deck that I have, because I'll have a couple white pips out from enchantments as well. So you're getting 6-7 token off of that creature, whereas Lina, it doesn't matter about the pips, it's all the creatures. So she's probably not quite as good, even though the make indestructible thing is relevant. I don't know. I just don't know if it all comes together for this. I certainly, as a commander, I'm not excited about her.
Agreed, but I think she might be decent in the 99 of certain decks.
She's probably okay in the Knight tribal deck, in the 99.
I also feel like if you're just a general token deck, maybe she won't make tokens, but having her on the board of your token deck to save all your tokens is a fine ability. I would happily run that card in maybe an Obzon token Gave deck or something.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. She would need to be pumped, like you said, though, because you're probably have some way to pump your tokens. But as long as you're pumping everything across the board, you're fine, right? Because she stays bigger than it. Anyways, Lina, decent, but I'm honestly I'm not excited about this card.
Lina Dees.
Also, Lina, the name of my old landlord, so I just can't get that out of my head at all.
Oh, and I think I just noticed a thing too. I can't prove it, but since the whole crowd is cheering and that guy in the foreground is definitely bald, I think this is a screaming bald guy.
This counts as a screaming bald guy, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah! You just can't see it, but he is going, yeah!
Yes.
This is one of the only...
with positivity.
Yeah, one of the only happy screaming bald guys.
Yes.
You don't see many of those.
Happy screaming bald guys. Very few. Very few.
Okay, now, who do we have next here?
We got our mono blue. It's Sai Master Thopter, 2 and a blue for a 1/4 human artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That's pretty good. A lot of artifact decks are going to want to run a lot of artifact cards. And then 1 and a blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. So here we have someone. I'm going to want to load this deck up with a ton of artifacts so that I can get the benefit. But once again, this is cast an artifact spell, not when an artifact enters the battlefield. So we're back down to talking cards. Like if you're not drawing cards, you're not doing this much. But he lets you draw cards anyway by sacking 2 artifacts. As a mono blue commander, I think it might be tricky to get this running. I think I would do. There was other mono blue artifacty commanders I would probably rather run. Maybe Padim or Muzio, just off the top of my head. But I think in the 99 of maybe like a Breya deck, this would be excellent.
Yeah, Breya is going to really like this guy quite a bit, I think. And like any version of her, essentially, whether it's like a sacrifice graveyard style deck, which I know a lot of Breya decks can be, or just purely in there for card advantage because she puts out artifacts. And it's kind of like a Brea ability too, right? Like you pay 2, you sack 2 artifacts, and something happens. Like that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what Brea does. So
yeah,
nice little ability there. I think you're going to see this pop up in a lot of artifact based decks in the 99. But I mean, he could be a Thopter. He could kind of be a Thopter Lord a little bit, right? Like a mono blue Thopter deck if you really wanted to.
Yeah, because I could run a ton of cheap artifacts that have sack benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he sacks those and makes more Thopters. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you could make that happen. Yeah, I like Sai. This is a pretty good card, I think.
Pretty good.
Moving
Who's the
on.
black mono?
Yeah, so the black mono legendary is Isareth, the Awakener. One black for a legendary human wizard with Death Touch. It's a 3/3, and whenever Isareth, the Awakener, attacks, you may pay X, and when you do, return target creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So this corpse counter, this is kind of weird. As far as I can tell, the corpse counter is there simply to remind you that it's the creature you brought back with Isareth, and that, therefore, if it goes anywhere else, you have to exile it. Which is kind of interesting. It's simply a reminder counter. Like you can proliferate and add more corpse counters on even other things, and it doesn't even matter, right? Like
this is a very interesting.
And you can take the
say.
Corpse counter off of it, and it doesn't matter also, because the corpse counter does nothing. Isn't that weird?
Wizards is asking us to have extra counters at our game because they don't trust us to remember that we'll go. And that's fair. Like this could be a very tricky thing to remember as games go along.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be.
It's so weird to introduce a whole new counter just as a helper to remind,
especially
help
if you
us remember.
Well, especially if you have other things pulling things out of the graveyard, right? Like if you have other ways and other things that are animating. It's like, did I get this one with Isareth, or I can't remember. I know I was going to, and then maybe I didn't. And it's like, so I don't mind it. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. But it is weird. For sure.
What do we think of this card? Like in certain 99s, like I was thinking maybe this might be good in an Alesha deck, just because there's a lot of low CMC creatures, a lot of low power there.
Well, Alesha runs the alternate axis though. Alesha cares about power. This cares about CMC. So a lot of Alesha cards are very expensive.
You know what? That is true. I didn't even think of that. You're right. Yeah.
So I feel like.
And there aren't very many creatures with really low CMC with really high power.
No.
That's not really a thing.
No, it doesn't work that way very often.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one. So you're going to easily bring back a lot of utility creatures, I think. So, I don't know. I think this is... If I'm already in a deck that has a lot of graveyard... Yeah, but if you bring something back with this, you never get it back again. I don't know if I want that one shot.
Like, you're just going to run, like, Chainer. If you want a mono black Reanimator, there are better cards for it.
Yeah.
Isareth, I don't even, like... I think it can be fine in the 99, although I'm not super stoked about it. Commander players like to be able to abuse things, abilities, right? Like, we like to be able to bring things out of the graveyard and put them back and bring them back. Like, so to stop that from happening, I really don't understand it, considering how many other creatures can just pull things out of the graveyard, basically no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why you have to fight so hard with us here and make it's like, if it goes anywhere else, it's exiled. Especially because there's another card later in the set we'll get to that's like seems to not care about the how much you can abuse it. So
right.
Isareth, not great.
Great for bird hats, though.
Oh, easily the best bird hat I've ever seen. Certainly that is a great bird hat.
Okay. What's next? What's this? We got red.
Yeah.
This one's neat. This is Lathlis, the Dragon Queen. 4 red for a legendary dragon, 6/6, flying. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. 1 in a red, dragons you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So right away, just because it's been on my mind, the white one and the blue one, so they're all talking about casts. So those are like kind of 1 card per trigger. Mm-hmm. Lathlis is on entering the battlefield. So, I mean, it has to be an actual card, But there are ways to abuse that where the cards are entering and exiting more than once. So you can get more than one per card that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this card's... I like this one a lot, actually. I think, obviously, this goes in the 99 of any of those multicolored dragons.
Dragon eats this up.
No problem. It's a 4-mana dragon, or no, 5-mana dragon in that deck, right? It's only one less.
Yeah.
And I actually think that if you... Of all of these, like, you can put... Lina can be the head of a Knight's Tribal. I don't know how good that is. We talked about Sai. Could maybe lead up some Thopter decks. Isareth, I don't think, is the leader of a deck. Lathless, I think, is a great mono-red dragon commander. Like, I think this could be a really good deck. So, I like Lathless a lot. I mean, the one in a red, the fire breathing is kind of like just bonus, but it is all of the dragons, so that's nice.
Yeah, all the tokens you just made.
Yeah, totally. So, I think she's pretty strong in both 99 and as a commander.
Neat. Who's green?
Green is Gore Claw, Terror of Kal Sisma. 3 and a green for a legendary bear, the first one ever.
Lair bear.
It's a 4/3 somehow. And creature spells you cast. Like, the one thing about Magic is we know what a bear is. Well, not this one, not the legendary one. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. So I guess if you have a 4 power thing, it can turn it, or a 4 CMC thing, it can turn it into a bear, kind of. Is that something?
But it has to be a 2/2.
Yeah, it's true.
A bear is a 2/2 for 2.
A bear is not simply a 2-mana creature. You're right.
Okay, while you talk for a bit, I'm gonna look up 4-mana creatures that have 2 power. And
Okay. So we can what can Gore Claw turn into a bear?
Right.
And it also has more text though. Whenever Gore Claw attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. So this thing that John's looking up to see what it turns into a bear wouldn't even be good in this deck because Gore Claw wants big creatures out there. He wants 4 power or greater. He gives them a little bit of an overrun. I actually think this card is, despite the flavor fail of it being the only legendary bear and it having nothing to do with bears or anything, I actually think this card is pretty solid. It's pretty decent. You'll run this in any of those big stompy decks. It makes your big guys cost less, which is always good. And this overrun ability is not to be ignored. Like, sometimes you'll just get a bunch of them, and the trample and even that meager +1/+1 can be enough. Because you can certainly pump things, but also this looks like, you'll have big enough creatures out there that this is going to be relevant, I think. So I like Gore Claw. I don't know if he's a commander. He could be, but I think there are better mono green commanders that help you ramp / cut the cost of things. So I think he's a pretty decent ability to a bunch of 99 decks.
There are definitely some bears at 4 that turn into true bears.
Really?
Yeah, lots of them. I mean, if we're going to get strict, that's like 1 and a green. That gets trickier. But, like, for example, Solemn Simulacrum becomes a regular bear.
Solemn Simulacrum becomes a bear.
2 for 2.
That's good.
Oracle of Moldiah becomes a bear.
Well, it's so funny because it doesn't, because the creatures need to be power 4 or greater.
That's not even... It's impossible.
It's impossible. It
can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, what a futile experiment.
But yeah, Gore Claw is decent, though. That cost reduction is real, and it lowers your curve when this guy's out, which is a good thing in any Magic format you're looking at. So try him out. Try him out in the big creature decks you've got running, with a big Teamer deck or a Naya deck or something like that. He's going to be good in those, I think.
I would also run Gore Claw in that dragon deck we referred to make all your dragons even cheaper still.
Yeah, he probably, he's a good ground dragon.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's really good, actually. Throw him in your dragon, and most of your dragons cost 3 less.
Wow.
That's like... That can get out of hand.
That's gross.
And giving the +1/+1 on trample in the air is even better, right? Like, if they're all flying, that's even better than on the ground. Wow. Okay.
Oh, and then you got to track a Tarka giving them all double strike.
Ooh, yikes. Okay. Yeah, Gore Claw. Maybe a secret dragon. Maybe should have been a dragon instead of a bear. A flightless dragon. Okay. Well, those are the monocolored ones. Overall, they're okay, right? Like, I like Sai. I like Lathless. I don't mind Gore Claw. Isareth and Lina were a little underwhelming, but
Yeah.
The blue and the red ones are strong for sure. Okay, let's take a look. Let's get into it. Here we go. Elder Dragon time, baby. Here we go.
This is why the format was invented. So we'll just go down the list.
Yeah.
Starting with Chromium the Mutable. 4 white, blue, black for a legendary Elder Dragon. This is 7/7. It's got flash, and it can't be countered, and it's got flying. Already that's pretty decent. Like, I can cast that on an end step. You can't counter it. I'm going to swing for 7. This is the only Elder Dragon that is 7/7 still. The rest of them are smaller.
And I'm glad that they made at least one of them still be a 7/7, but I'm not in the camp that they all have to be 7/7s. I really am not. Like, it's because it's kind of bad that Chromium costs 7, you know? Like, that's heavy. That's a heavy mana cost for a commander. So I am happy that they didn't stick to that.
Right. There is an extra ability, though. When Chromium is on the battlefield, you may discard a card. Until end of turn, Chromium the Mutable becomes a human with base power and toughness 1/1, loses all abilities, gains hexproof, and it can't be blocked this turn.
So he turns into an invisible stalker, right? That's the name of that creature?
Yeah.
The blue one from Innistrad. Yeah. I think this has the potential to be a good like Voltron commander.
Yes, it's Voltron the hard way.
It is the hard way, yeah.
You're going to put equipment on it to give it 7 power.
And
then turn it into a 1/1.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So it's like the upside of the discard a card ability can save them from spot removal and then make them smaller, but hopefully it'll still be pretty big if you got some equipment there. Ooh, and then, of course, if no one has anything, then it's just a monster.
Yeah. True.
I think this deck, while it doesn't say anything about artifacts on it, is one of those cards that is subtly hinting at you that it needs to be artifacts that are pretty heavy in the deck. So you need to ramp into Chromium, obviously. And this has no green in it, so you're probably going to be using artifacts to do that. And then, like we said, like it's a solid Voltron commander either way, like in either of the modes, even if it is just a 1/1 with hexproof, can't be blocked. A bunch of equipment on this guy is going to be really, really solid. So
yeah,
I think this is like a subtle artifact, like Voltron commander.
Neat.
Next
up, it's our boy.
Oh wait, no. First of all, I wanted to just show briefly the old one and see how they did with moving it over to the new one. So the old Chromium, all the Elder Dragons are like double each of their colors. So this one's double white, double blue, double black, and then 2. It's a set. They're all 7/7s. So just know that going forward. And this guy had Rampage 2, which was like, if it was blocked by more than one creature, it gets +2/+2 for everything beyond the first. That's the 2 for in the Rampage cost or the Rampage ability. So not really the same with the new Chromium, but they kept him a shiny dragon, which is nice. He's still a very shiny dragon. And he's still a 7/7, so they stayed close when it comes to that, at least. Rampage, although, is long gone, and we'll never see it again.
No.
Okay, now is our boy. Here we go. Now we're moving on to our mascot, our boy, Nicol Bolas, the Ravager. 1 blue, black, red. Grixis, of course, Elder Dragon, legendary, 4/4 flyer. So 4 mana for a 4/4 flyer. In Commander, it's like not that impressive, but it's still solid stats for what you're paying. When Nicol Bolas Ravager enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, so that we know that's pretty on theme with the old one. And you can pay 7 mana, so 4 and Grixis, to exile Nicol Bolas and then return him to the battlefield, transformed under his owner's control, and activate this ability only anytime you would cast a sorcery. So you have to do it on your turn. And then he turns into Nicol Bolas the Arisen. Legendary Planeswalker, 7 loyalty. He uses the origin flip rules, I believe. This is again another like kind of callback to the last core set we had, essentially.
Right.
Nicol Bolas has 4 loyalty abilities, +2, draw 2 cards, which is great. -3, he deals 10 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Basically destroy those things. -4, put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And then -12, the ultimate is exile all but the bottom card of target player's library. So you're going to kill one person in a turn or two with that ultimate, but you're getting a lot of value from the draw cards and the killing of creatures, I think, here. And the occasional animate. Like, I think this is just really solid, really good.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to protect him. He protects himself like 2 ways, which is great.
By destroying, if there's only one threat, really, you can destroy it with the -3.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can pull something out of the graveyard that will act as Nicol Bolas's best protector.
Like, that can be so crazy. Like, think of the big, massive creatures that can be in graveyards during a game of Commander. Like, you can pull out you can pull out like a Terrastodon and blow a bunch of stuff up. You can pull, for minusing 4 and him still having 3 loyalty, you can pull out a huge creature. You can pull out some big angel or something and just stop everything from attacking you.
You're paying 7 to do it.
Sure, yeah.
So that's sort of like a fair price for that one. But if you can grab something that will adequately protect it, then you're starting to generate massive value.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong Planeswalker for Commander, actually. And they're not usually that good, so that's something.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And of course the old Nicol Bolas. Let's see. We get the old art here. There he is.
Bookworm.
Yeah, Bookworm Nicol Bolas. Of course, they redesigned Nicol Bolas's look a long time ago to modernize him, so he doesn't exactly look like he used to. But the discard stuff is on theme, and of course, I don't know. That's about it. His old ability was strong. He's the best of the old ones, and I actually think, spoiler alert, he's the best of the new ones too. So, all right, let's check out who's next.
I do like this one too. Victis Asmadi the Dire. It's the Jund one. 3 black, red, green. Elder Dragon, flying 6/6. Whenever Victis Asmadi the Dire attacks, for each player, then that includes yourself, no maze, choose target permanent that player controls. Those players sacrifice those permanents. Each player who sacrificed a permanent this way reveals the top card of their library, then puts it onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card. This is Chaos Warp.
Right.
So Victis Chaos Warps every player when it attacks.
It's not exactly Chaos Warp because it's not shuffle that thing into your library. It's
oh, that's true. You straight sack
but
it.
close,
right.
close enough. Yeah.
So close enough, a little bit better because it's gone.
That thing is gone
guess.
for sure. Yeah.
They can't flip into it by luck. Yeah. I mean, it's very chaotic. You have to do yourself. I feel like you can try to set up your game so that you're aware of what's on your library more often than not, using scries or creatures that let you peek at the top of your library, for example.
Although you don't have blue, which blue is definitely the best at that. You missed that.
Blue's the best at it, but green has plenty of creatures and spells that let you look at the top of your library or play with the top revealed.
Yeah.
And you can do a little manipulation with artifacts and stuff that way too. I think this is the commander if you just want just a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, just a little bit. And it will deal with troublesome permanents. However, you've got green in there, so it's not like you can't handle like enchantments or something. You know what I mean? Like you can in these colors, you can still just handle those things. And Chaos Warp is good in mono red or in like a red black deck, for example, because those colors can't handle enchantments or something.
Right.
So so that's why it's good. Whereas like if you can handle it, you don't really need to be able to be possibly giving them something better for what you're taking away from them.
You can handle it.
You can handle it, but it's neat. It's a creative thing. It's an interesting ability. So I like it. I
would run this.
I like it.
I would like to try it out.
I don't know what decks it goes in aside from Dragon decks, but it's neat.
I think it's going to be my commander. I'm going to try it.
Really? You're going to do a Victis. All right, great.
Yeah.
Great, okay. And of course the old Victis was just simply any Jund color, so whether you paid black, red, or green, would give it fire breathing, and that's it. It's a flyer that did that. So that's very boring. Although the look of Victis has remained. He's got that one fin on the top of his head, and other than that, looking like a pretty slick-looking dragon. So
doesn't he look like a rooster now?
He does look a little like a rooster now, for sure. But I think he always looked a bit like a rooster. So
a little bit.
So there you go. Rooster Asmadi is back. Next, we have the Naya Elder Dragon, Palladia Moors, the Ruiner. I think he looks the most badass, to be honest. Palladia has this crazy twirling horns and like spiky armor.
Yeah.
And However, does it amount to anything on the card? We'll see. Flying, Vigilance, Trample for a 6/6. It's a 6-mana dragon, so it's 3 and Naya colors, so red, green, white. And Palladia Moors the Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So not that exciting, to be honest. Flying, Vigilance, and Trample isn't like it's not nothing. Like, it's still good, but you know, I don't know. And I guess hexproof until it deals damage. The one thing I can think of, so it's like the second this thing deals damage, so the second damage happens.
And that's on defense, too, if you block with it.
Exactly. The hexproof is gone, and all of a sudden this thing is open. But what I was thinking is that, like, what this does is it gives you the window to put your Greaves or Boots on it. So it has hexproof. You put Greaves on it. Now it's got double hexproof. But then now it doesn't lose hexproof when it hits.
Yes.
So you at least have that. So if you want to make that Naya Dragon Voltron deck, I guess you can. I don't know.
I mean, there is no better package of stats for a Voltron commander. It's got Vigilance, so you'll always have it for defense as well. It's got Trample, so they won't be able to chump it. And it flies, so it has the best evasion that just can come on a creature by default. So I think you're in a really good position. You got red and green and white, which, like, white and green are good equipment colors, because then you can use, like, Nazan to go get better equipment, and like white has I think this is set up to be a pretty decent Voltron commander. It's
a solid addition to like a Mael deck or something like that, right? You spit this one out there. I didn't notice this before, but this is Nicol Bolas' sister.
Wow, that's why the horns are kind of curly.
Remember, we thought it was Nicol Bolas would be the Nicol Bolas' sister, but it's not. It turns out it's Palladia Moors.
Well, maybe there's two sisters.
Yeah, maybe he had he's got a whole family there. We know he has a twin brother. Do you know that? Did you know that?
No.
It's Ugin. Wait, did you know that him and Ugin are brothers?
I didn't know that.
I think that was recently revealed in one of the stories.
Oh, Ugin.
And they're twins, I think.
They're twins.
Pretty sure. I read a bunch of the story. I mean,
he does have those curly horns.
Yeah. So they're twin brothers, and this is I wonder if it's their older or younger sister. It'd be funny if like Palladia Moors is the older sister and just used to like torment her two brothers, Ugin and Nicol.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do the old Palladia Moors do? Well, the old Palladia Moors was pretty vanilla herself. She was simply a 7/7 flying trample creature that you had to pay the upkeep for, of course. They all had the upkeep.
Simply.
Like, woof. At least they gave her one more thing. Like, they gave her two things, really, but they also gave her Vigilance and, of course, that hexproof ability. But yeah, I'm pretty underwhelmed by Palladia Moors, both of them, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, anyways, what's the final one? What's the last one here?
Arcades the Strategist, 1 and Bant. So 1 green, white, blue, Elder Dragon, 3/5 Flying Vigilance. 3/5 Flying Vigilance is an unusual stat combination, but whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Okay, great. I'm going to put a bunch of walls in. I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. Each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So that means Arcades himself attacks as a 5/5.
Right. A lot of people are going pretty nuts over this card. They're very excited about it. Oh, sorry, what?
I'm wrong. It doesn't have Defender, so it's only creatures with Defender that do that. So it doesn't make regular creatures attack for their butts.
Oh, yeah, interesting. And it doesn't do it to himself. So a lot of people are excited about this card because obviously this is the Wall Tribal Commander now. But like we've had Doran the Siege Tower for a long time, which is essentially the same thing.
Yes.
Although the Defender aspect it isn't, because Doran doesn't allow the Defenders to attack. But there are other cards that do. Like my point is that this deck has existed before Arcades. Obviously not with blue, but it's existed and it's like not all that good.
And you know the weird thing is, I'm thinking, what do we get with blue? I was like, Wall of Frost is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, but Wall of Frost has an ability when it becomes a blocker. They never gave abilities to walls if they become blocked. like a lot of walls, like a lot of cards would say if it is blocked or becomes blocked. But Wall of Frost is like, well, we don't need to put the being becomes blocked because it never attacks. Yeah. So you don't even get that bonus.
Obviously, Assault Formation is a big card with this type of deck. It's basically the enchantment that allows the same thing to happen. Each creature assigns, but it's only you control again. So only stuff you control with Defender will assign damage according to its toughness. Whereas Doran did it to everyone, so it kind of like sometimes you could get a player that you're an opponent rather with a low toughness, high power creature that would kind of screw that up, screw combat up for him. Anyways, I don't know. What do you think of this deck though? Do you think it's going to be any good?
Okay. I don't think I would enjoy it because it's too... If you lose... I'm going to put a ton of defenders in there, a ton of walls, and if I lose my commander, if they get imprisoned in the moon or if someone gains control of them, I just have a bunch of walls that don't draw me cards when I cast them. Except for Wall of Omens.
Yeah, so...
And Wall of Blossoms.
Yeah, I guess that ability is pretty sweet that the defenders draw you cards, but yeah.
I don't like the deck does nothing if you don't have your commander. At least other decks that are commander dependent, when you don't have your commander, it's like, well, at least my cards do something. At least I can attack with them. At least I can. It's like, no, you can't really do anything with these ones.
That's true. I mean, we are known for making that type of deck on this very show.
Yeah,
we've made tons of decks that basically do nothing without their commander, or a card buried in the 99 somewhere that you have to try so hard to get.
So hard.
So we're no stranger to those types of decks, but
no.
But we're also not saying that those are like very good decks or anything. Those are fun like experiments that you can try and make happen, which I think Arcades might fall in. He's got enough stuff that it makes it I think worth trying, but I don't know. I'm not wild about it either, sadly. So what do you think though? Oh, and Arcades about the original. Is very on theme. It turns out. It turns out the new one is very much in sync with the old one. He would give untapped non-attacking creatures you control a 2 +0/+2. So he would boost walls, basically, make them even bigger. And you could pay 1 white and give Arcades Sabath +0/+1. But again, the new Arcades only does this for defending creatures. So he's still good to have in there, though. You would actually, I think you would actually put the original Arcades in this new Arcades deck because it buffs the walls' toughness.
Right.
So it makes them all bigger, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. I mean, it's always a bummer that all of the Elder Dragons had that upkeep cost, but we'll figure something out for that. Yeah. What do you think of the Elder Dragons in general? The new ones.
I don't know. I think as commanders, I'm excited to try a Palladia Moore's Voltron. I like Victis just for the silliness of it. And then Nicol Bolas seems like the best one.
Yeah, I agree. Nicol Bolas flipping into that very good Planeswalker is pretty solid.
VGP.
I think Chromium is something, though. I mean, 7 mana is a lot to pay for a commander, but it's a pretty neat and unique ability, I think, and I'm kind of excited about that.
True.
Yeah, Palladia and Arcades are things we've kind of seen before. Victis is neat, but I'm not inspired by it. I don't know what to do with that card. But maybe you do. We'll see. Maybe we'll make a deck with it. It'll be great.
Maybe.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. Those are the legendary creatures. Those are the new Elder Dragons, which is very cool to get that. To get those back. The cycle of the mono-colored ones as well. And now let's move down to the rest of the set. The regular cards, your lands, colorless. We're going to start with lands, move to colorless, and then we'll tackle the colors in order.
Great. Up first, Detection Tower. It's a land, taps for colorless. 1 in a tap. Until end of turn, your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the targets of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof.
Okay.
This is why not Arcane Lighthouse?
I agree. Why not Arcane Lighthouse? I know the answer though also. The reason that they didn't just print Arcane Lighthouse here is because Arcane Lighthouse refers to Shroud. and they don't like it when, and there's no Shroud in the set, and they don't want to use Shroud anymore. So they don't want a card that confuses players who pick up M19, which is supposed to be like an entry level product anyways. Especially like it's geared, the simpler mechanics and everything. It's kind of geared towards newer players.
That makes sense.
They don't want to be like, what Shroud? I don't see anything with Shroud. You know what I mean? Like they don't want that to happen.
You mean like those corpse counters?
Yeah. Well, at least you know what those corpse counters do, even if it is.
They don't do anything.
I know, even if they don't do anything. They are a reminder counter. But yeah, no, I agree though. Like I don't know. I think it's kind of worth like just break your own weird little rule there and just reprint like Arcane Lighthouse. Like it's good enough.
I mean, I'm happy to have this effect again on 2 lands.
Like it's still good. Like it's still worth it. And it's now probably will end up being the budget version of an Arcane Lighthouse. Not that Arcane Lighthouse is that expensive, but
but this one's rare though. Arcane was all uncommon.
Yeah, but it's uncommon in a commander set. It doesn't really. But and it's already apparently this card is pre-selling for about the same as an Arcane Lighthouse, but maybe standard will keep that up there. Who knows? But I think it'll probably drop. Because it's only hexproof. This does nothing against Lightning Greaves. Like this, arguably, maybe isn't even that good in Commander.
Yeah.
Because you're generally going to see more Greaves than anything else, I think.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this will be the first card of its kind available in like Modern or Standard. So
yeah,
this might be worth something there.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I didn't even think of that. Maybe this turns into something because of that. Who knows? Don't know enough about Modern. Oh well. But good card though. I think it's like decent commander card. You want Arcane Lighthouse more, but if in a pinch you'll take this.
In a pinch.
Yeah. Next we have Reliquary Towers getting a reprint. It's just the card that says you have no maximum hand size and it taps for colorless. This is a commander staple.
Much needed reprint.
Much needed reprint. This card is getting up to $4 or $5 at some from some sets. This one looks like it'll probably settle around to something, but it'll go right back up. So get your Reliquary Towers from M19.
It's uncommon.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's very, very good. I'm glad that is the case.
Yeah.
This card's great.
It doesn't hurt draft.
Commander staple. Just get it. Just get as many as you can. So that means this will just drop right away. This will drop right down.
I hope so.
Okay.
That's it for lands.
Yeah, those are the only ones. There's some tapped dual lands, but they're just like basically guild gates. Like
we've seen them before.
Don't care. And then you got these 2 lands, and that's it.
So let's do some colorless cards. We're going to start with colorless because they go in any commander deck in theory.
Right.
So let's top it off with Deseret's Gatebreaker. 4 generic for an artifact. When Deseret's Gatebreaker enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a blue or artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of them on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this one technically can't go on any deck because it has blue in its commander identity, this blue symbol on the card. But 5 blue, tap, sacrifice Deseret's Gatebreaker. So you've sunk 6 mana, or 10 mana total to do this. Creatures you control can't be blocked this turn. So on its surface, you're going to pay 4. You're going to look at 5 cards, and I'm assuming you're running a blue artifact deck, so you're going to hit something with it. The chances of whiffing ought to be very small if you're running this at all.
So I wanted to talk about this card just because, first of all, there's a cycle of these for each color of where you like dig 5 cards deep, find something relevant. This is the only one that's blue or artifact. All the other ones are like find a green card, find a red card.
Right.
So this one's a little bit more useful, but I think that overall, I just want to say I think this card is not good. Like 6 mana to tap and then give creatures unblockable is too much, especially because you have to sacrifice it. Like there is maybe a world where this goes in like a graveyard recursion artifact deck with blue in it, maybe, but I think it's just way too much to spend for it. It's 4 mana to cast it. That's 6 mana for it to do something. Much. It's just too much.
I can sort of, I mean, it is different, but like I can cast a card like Sleep or to just tap all of my opponent's creatures and sort of make them unblockable. It is different because if they have an untap effect or if they flash in a creature, they can still block. This is unblockable forever, like for the turn.
Yeah,
like nothing you can do will make them blockable.
Yeah, I mean, this card basically replaces itself probably, and can be like the reason you win, but I do think it's too much to pay for it.
Too much.
Next we have Amulet of Safekeeping, 2 mana for an artifact that says it's a rare. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1, and then creature tokens randomly get -1/-0. What?
This is weird.
This is weird, and I do think that this is like, is this like another card to like hose Storm decks? You know what I mean?
It only hoses Storm if they target you.
Yeah, I know. So it's like it stops like tendrils or
the one that makes you mill
grape shot or the mill one. Yeah. So like
but it doesn't stop the goblins one.
And from what I understand, the grape shot and or tendrils are the ones that win, right? Most of the time.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
In older formats.
Yeah,
maybe.
but basically in Commander, I don't think we really have to worry about this card. I don't think it's anything. Creature tokens getting -1/-0. I guess that stops Empty the Warrens right there.
Yeah. But like, also like the token decks that I end up facing, they're pumping their tokens somehow anyway.
Exactly. I think this is printed for a sideboard card, another sideboard card against Storm. We saw one of those in Dominaria too. So I think this is another one. And this is not really relevant in Commander, I don't think. So never mind.
But this next one seems to be.
Yeah, this one's cool.
Chaos 1, 3 generic for an artifact, and you can pay 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of that library in a random order. What? So just 4 tap free spell, and as we know, spells are good, and we're not running bad spells.
Spells are good, yeah.
Right? No one's running bad spells in their commander decks unless they're a weird theme.
Yeah.
And then just don't target that person.
Yeah, like
this is going to be crazy for like mono red decks who can maybe snag some ramp spells. You might snag a random enchantment destruction spell, which you will surely have a place to point with it. Maybe you hit a counter spell, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like, oh my goodness, such a good card.
Yeah, once in a while you are just gonna hit that counter spell, and this is gonna be nothing. But
yeah,
I think this is gonna be lots of fun and pretty good. And again, this can go in any deck, like you said. So this could become a way for a very unreliable way, mind you, but it could become a way for like white decks to ramp, like you were saying, red decks to maybe hit an enchantment, but probably more fun just as anything, just to see what you get. Maybe you might get a what's it called, like a Clone Legion or something like that. You know, you might get some 7-8 mana card, but I think in general you're probably going to hit stuff that is around 4 or less, though. I bet. I think you're going to hit a lot of cultivates. You're going to hit a lot of like rampant growths. You're going to hit a lot of like you said, counter spells are very prevalent. So I think you're going to hit some counter spells. You got to be careful targeting that blue player.
It's true.
Although blue has the biggest payoff for like Clone Legion type of stuff, right? Like a big weird sorceries. So but you'll know if you're facing a deck that has that. Maybe even like a bribery or something.
And you probably don't want to hit the Narset player. They're probably gonna, all those spells probably help them more than they help you.
You're also gonna hit board wipes, right?
Yeah.
So
you don't have to cast the card if you don't want to.
Sure, exactly, right? So that's the one thing. It's like it's just a bummer that you may have just sunk 4 mana and did nothing. I think more times than not, though, this is going to be actually a pretty fun card to play, though. It's not necessarily really good, and the spikier players are not going to want anything to do with this card, I don't think. But I think it's me too. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
I like it.
What do we got next?
What do we have next? We have Crucible of Worlds. This is a reprint of a much sought after Magic card that had only been reprinted in... Okay, so it was printed in 5th Dawn. Interesting. I didn't know it was that early. Printed in 5th Dawn, then in 10th edition, and then since then not reprinted in anything outside of like a Judge promo or like an Invention. So this is a card that had just skyrocketed in price. We're talking like it was like $80, $90, getting up to be around. Now with this printing, it's brought those down a bit, I think, and obviously it's going to be like a $25, $30 card. So if you get a Crucible, it can be very, very good for depending on the deck. But Crucible is a 3 mana artifact that says you can play lands from your graveyard. Simple. I believe this card was actually invented by it was like a you design the card contest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think and so some like a person won the contest, and this is the card that came out of it.
Cool.
Yeah, so it just it just lets you. Obviously, this is going in. It's probably pretty good in most decks, to be honest with you. Like being able to pull out that fetch land or that even like that Evolving Wilds or something is pretty solid when you don't have one in your hand, and just lets you hit more land drops. So it obviously really shines in graveyard stuff though. So
big time. Crucible
Worlds, great card. If you get one, sell it maybe, but I would actually probably just hold on to it because it's going to go right back up in price. This is a mythic, so
yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
So then we got a Desecrated Tomb, 3 generic for an artifact. Tomb.
Yeah, not
tome.
I thought you said like tome is like a book. Tome.
I might have said tome. It's tomb.
You did say tome.
Desecrated Tomb, 3 generic for an artifact. Whenever one or more creature cards leaves your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So this is dependent on your commander. You'll know based on your commander if you're planning on having creatures leave your graveyard or not.
And leave can mean exile. Leave can mean back to your hand. Leave can mean to the battlefield. It means everything. So
can it mean shuffled back into your...
I think so. I don't know. That's a good question. Why not, right?
It is one or more. So if that effect happens, you'll get 1 if it works. It's not like you can shuffle 50 cards and get 50 bats.
If you mass exile, it doesn't work. It's got to be one at a time. But that, you know what? That's a bummer. I wasn't even thinking that. I assumed that if they all went, you get that many. Because I was thinking like, oh, if like someone exiles your graveyard, guess what? You just made me 12 flyers, right? But that's actually not how it works. That stinks.
It's interesting backup for something like Carador, or like this is an interesting synergy with like Whisper, who's sacking creatures to bring creatures back, but then you make more creatures to sack to make things back.
Yeah, so I think there's some synergy there with a couple of different things, which is why I thought it's worth highlighting. It's like, yeah, sacking things to bring things back is a great example of that. So you can end up sacking some of the bats and getting things back. So this might be
sack the bats, get them back.
This might be something.
Yeah.
Next we have Dragon's Horde.
I love this card.
3-mana artifact that says whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, put a gold counter on Dragon's Horde. And then it has 2 tap abilities. One is tap and remove a gold counter from Dragon's Horde to draw a card. And then the other is simply just to tap and add 1 mana of any color. So this is interesting because this actually is a mana rock for any deck, right? This is a mana rock for any deck, and if you have dragons, it's even better.
3 mana taps for any color. There's many of these, and they come in all kinds of flavors with different upsides.
Yeah.
And the upside of this is very obvious if you run a dragon deck.
Like if you're running a Manolith in any of your decks, and you open one of these, like this is just better. Even if you don't have dragons.
Well, it's not better if you don't have dragons.
The possibility that you could get a dragon, though, like if you.
Oh, I see. If
somehow a dragon could enter the battlefield under your control.
If someone crib swaps your creature, then you get that changeling, which is a dragon.
It's a dragon, technically. Exactly.
This is this is better than Manolith. Strictly better.
If you have a Taurian Mauler in your deck, this is better.
Yeah. But what about something like Cultivator's Caravan, which is my current favorite 3 mana, add 1 of any color?
That card's solid and probably not better unless you have dragons, I'd say. But Dragon Horde is an automatic include in any dragon deck, obviously. It's going to draw you lots of cards and also fix and ramp you. It's pretty much
It doesn't get to do both at the same time, though.
Correct.
You either tap for mana or draw a card.
Right, yeah, of course. Great. All right, this is a good card, though. What's next?
Another stick. This one's a Magistrate Scepter. 3 generic and then 4, tap, put a charge counter on it, and then tap, remove 3 charge counters, take an extra turn after this one. So, yeah.
So, like, this is the card that I was like, so this is a reprint, actually, which is surprising. So this is from Arcadian Masks, and it's like it was worth a couple bucks. So this is a reprint from way back. And this is the card where it's like, there's no restrictions on this. Like, I just got to get charge counters on this. Like, there's lots of stuff nowadays that puts charge counters on things and multiplies them and makes it so that basically you'll go infinite with this, right? Like,
yes.
If you have a certain number of this and like a Vorel the Hull Clade or something, you double them. Like if you have 3 counters on it, you Vorel, you put 6. Now it has 6. Tap it, take 3 off, take an extra turn. You Vorel next turn. That's infinite. That's infinite turns.
Infinite turns.
Obviously, this stuff already existed because this is an old card. But it's like, I just thought it was so funny that like they go so far out of the way with like Isareth to make the thing exiles. Like, no way can you abuse this when. And also, here's a Magistrate Scepter that like nowadays specifically is pretty abusable.
Do you think there's anything in this set that gets extra charge counters? I haven't looked that closely. I think you got to do this the hard way. Like,
in the set, within the set, I don't think there's anything.
There's no way in heck you draft this. Like you never like.
No way. No chance.
No way.
No, it's 4 mana. Just
there's
add
no
it.
proliferate.
Yeah, no way. You don't want this.
Okay.
I guess, and with this set entering standard, Kaladesh and Amonkhet leave standard, right?
Yes, that's true.
So that means that
you don't have that little birdie thing that. Oh no, that's from Ixalan, isn't it? That pirate that puts counters on things when it hits. It's not a bird. It's a pirate.
I was thinking the snake.
Oh, Winding Constrictor.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, that's gone. That is gone.
Well, anyways, that's standard. Anyways, that we don't care about that. So in Commander, this card's kind of always been available, but now it's a little cheaper. And if you have a deck that wants it, there you go. Now it's a little more available.
We like it.
Yep. What's next?
Meteor Golem, 7 generic artifact creature golem, 3/3. 7 for a 3/3, not cheap. But when Meteor Golem enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent that an opponent controls. So here's another colorless way to get rid of enchantments if you are in the red and black.
Yep, exactly. This is like we've seen this type of card a lot. Spine of Isha is a thing where it's 7 mana. It comes into play. It destroys a permanent. And then it has the upside of you can return it and whatever. But Meteor Golem is like a creature, so this can be reanimated and stuff, which is very good actually. This is like I think this card's going to be pretty solid and be a staple for certain decks. This could go in. I think this might be very good in just any reanimator deck. I think it also is like the Breya like graveyard deck, the Duretti decks of the world are just gonna love this card. Like I'm putting this right into Duretti right away. So yeah, this is a good. This is actually, despite its very heavy mana cost, I think this card's gonna be. I think you're gonna see this card.
I didn't see that much upside on it.
Yeah, the fact that it's a creature adds to the recurability to it, which is great.
Absolutely.
All right. Next we have Transmogrifying Want. Another wand.
Stick.
Yeah, we got a couple wands in this set, as wizards are going to be a big thing, I guess, going forward. 3 mana, 3 generic for an artifact. Transmogrifying Want enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. So here's something else using charge counters. And then you pay 1 and tap it, remove a charge counter, destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 white ox creature token. Activate this ability only anytime you cast a sorcery. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, you're turning things into oxen. And obviously in Commander, we've got lots of big scary creatures around, so turning them into a vanilla 2/4 is fine. Totally fine. In draft and stuff, I'm sure it's probably decent too, but like a 2/4 is fine when you're playing limited. But
this is probably amazing in draft. I think this is an amazing. I think this is a good Commander card. 3 shots to remove things at instant speed is good. That's value. That's good card advantage. And I think if you have any sort of proliferate, like with Atraxa, you'll be able to do this every turn.
Turn everything into oxen.
Yeah.
Now you have an ox tribal deck because of me.
I mean, you can lock out someone's commander for a long time. Even if you don't have proliferate, even if you're just like, I just need to lock out your commander for as long as possible. I'm just going to hold up 1 mana, and whenever you cast your commander, I'm going to turn it into an ox.
Yeah. That threat of activation is real. All right, Transmogrifying Want. All right, well, what's next here?
Next, is it another stick?
No, we're on to white now.
White cards. The first white card we're going to talk about is Cleansing Nova. 3 white for a sorcery. Choose 1. Destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So the 5 mana Wraths We call them Wraths, even though Wrath was 4 and it's different. But the cards that destroy all creatures, we call them Wraths, and a lot of them cost 5 in white, and they all have a little bit of an upside. Fumigate gains you life, for example. This upside is you have the choice of not destroying all the creatures, but destroying all of basically everything else, artifacts and enchantments. I think that's an amazing utility. I love this card.
Yeah, this is one of the only Wraths that's good after a Wrath.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one draws comparisons to another really good card, Austere Command, which is like a modal Wrath card. Austere Command let you hit all artifacts or all enchantments or small creatures or big creatures, basically. But it costs 6. Like, I think Cleansing Nova is on the same level. Not as modal. You get to choose 2, by the way, in Austere Command. 2 of those things. And this one you only get to choose 1, but it's pretty similar. It's pretty close. A lot of times you would just hit artifacts and enchantments, or you would hit all creatures. So it's not that different. It's actually pretty good. I like this card a lot. I think this is a really good Wrath for Commander.
Very good Wrath. I love it.
Love that one. Next in white we have Isolate. Isolate's a weird card. It's a 1 mana. So it's 1 white for an instant that says exile target permanent with converted mana cost 1. Now, I wanted to highlight this because I think there are some metas that this card is like kind of really good in. I know there's a spikier, quicker metas than ours, and I wanted to acknowledge them basically. But Isolate, I know Isolate in it's not going to go to any of my decks. For us, this might hit a Soul Ring or something, or, But if you got, Serra Ascendants running around and Mana Crypts and Mana Vaults, this is the turn 1 answer to those things.
Well, not Mana Crypt. That's 0.
Right.
Mana
sorry.
Vault.
Yeah, Mana Vault. Sorry, that's what I meant. Those are this is an answer to those things, so...
There's a lot of 1 mana utility creatures that become a thing, what's the green and black hybrid one that eats graveyard stuff? That one.
Yeah, right. Deathrite Shaman. Yep.
Deathrite Shaman. So there's utility. So this is meta dependent. Right?
It's very narrow. I don't even know if it's going to be in those types of metas and those types of decks. I just thought it could be maybe. So it's just worth acknowledging.
It's an interesting acknowledgement for sure.
Yeah. Next,
Leonin Warleader, 2 white cat soldier, 4/4. Very good stats for 4 mana in white. Normally green gets to be 4/4 for 4, but this is pretty good for white. Whenever Leonin Warleader attacks, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. And it just got better. The first time you attacked, now you've got 6 power and toughness on the board. 2 of it have lifelink. This reminds me of the Brimaz of old a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me of Brimaz, but it also reminds me of that. I think it's a 4 mana soldier. It's in cube all the time. It makes 2 soldiers that are tapped and attacking and
Hero
Battlecry.
of Bladehold.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, Hero of Bladehold, 4 mana, 3/4, but it has Battlecry, so whenever it attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. So it actually does attack as a 4/4, and it makes 2 1/1s that attack as 2 1s. Bladehold probably better, but Leonin Warleader has its own upsides too that are actually still quite good. So I think this card is pretty solid.
Solid for cat decks too.
Love those cat decks. It might even also be playable just in soldier decks because he's a cat soldier. And
That's
sometimes those decks just care about tokens,
right?
And they don't care what tokens they are. All right, neat. Next, probably best friend of the Leonin Warleader is Mentor the Meek. We got this reprint from, I believe, Dark Ascension. No, Innistrad. 2 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay 1, and if you do, draw a card. This is a staple in white token decks. Because white doesn't draw cards very easily, and Mentor the Meek is one of the best ways to do it in white. So, this is a commander staple, essentially, and we're happy to see it reprinted. Even though it's not a very expensive card, it's just nice to have a couple more copies out there.
Yeah. What's next? We got Resplendent Angel, 1 white for a 3/3 with flying. Very good stats. It is mythic. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. And then 3 white. Until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. So that amount of mana will bring Resplendent Angel into 5/5 lifelink, which will get you that other backup angel. This is a very powerful effect. Anything that says each end step is very good, but gaining 5 life on other people's turns is very tricky. If you have lifelink creatures, they need to attack you. And they did really balance, what is it, Sigil of the Empty Throne? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Which is the one where whenever you gain 4 life, you get an angel?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that card, although I do have it in my Tristani deck. Here, I'll look it up.
There is a lot of cards that gain you 4 life incidentally. But 5 life is just above that threshold, so it really does turn off a lot of instants that destroy things and gain 4 life. Do this, gain 4 life. Do that, gain 4 life. So that 1 life difference, I think, really hurts this card.
Angelic Accord is the card we're thinking of. Yeah, it cares about 4 life, and it's at each end step. It's the same thing. And yeah, you're right. It's difficult to get this working. You can do it in Tristani a little bit in that, which is why I included this card in my deck, because you can populate a creature that's 4 toughness, or I guess in this case with Resplendent Angel 5 toughness, and then you can get another angel that way. Unfortunately, there's not a way to make it like populate, get the token, and have that token count as the life, and then get another one or something like that. There's no way to do that. That just doesn't work. But yeah, I don't know. It's a card to think about for those life gain decks, and yeah, any kind of angel care matters decks, obviously, like this card. This one might be a lot. This one might turn out to be a bunch of money though. Like it's. Oh,
and I just did the math in my head. I'm just brainstorming. There's a few black creatures that let you sack creatures and gain life based on their toughness. But again, you're making 4 toughness, so you won't be gaining 5 life by sacking the angels that you make.
This is gonna go well with Lyra Dawnbringer. It's gonna.
Oh yeah.
Standard. I think that's gonna be a nice pair.
Oh my goodness, will it ever? And this one gets the +1. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, this is going to be expensive. Oh, it's already pre-selling for 17. People have already guessed that.
Yeah. Next we have Sun Cleanser. This is an interesting card.
Cleanse the sun.
Yeah, right? That sun is a little dirty. Get up there and cleanse it. Get your Vim. It's 1 and a white for a 1/4 human cleric. When Sun Cleanser enters the battlefield, you choose 1. You can remove all counters from target creature. It can't have counters put on it for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. So just shut down that Forbidden Ancient or whatever that card's called.
Yeah.
Or you choose target opponent loses all counters. That player can't get counters for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. So this is very interesting. There's a lot of different ways to use this. It's funny that I was about to say it's kind of narrow, but it's narrow, but it's modular, so it kind of evens out, right? So you can make one of your opponents never get an experience counter as long as Sun Cleanser is out. Like you can turn off their commander that way. That can actually be great. Or
Azuri.
Exactly. What's his face? Marin.
Marin.
I mean, Marin's also just good enough anyways, just getting it to your hand, but at least at least it can't get it to the battlefield directly if you have Sun Cleanser. But there's also you can't get poison counters, right?
It's only
opponent. It is opponent.
Yeah.
Oh man. But anyways, you can turn off lots of things. You can turn off lots of creatures. I'm kind of boggled a little bit as to why they didn't make it like creature or planeswalker. Like why wouldn't they make this just kill a planeswalker? It seems like that would be really on flavor for this.
You know what?
Take counters away from creatures, players, and add one more thing, and it's a planeswalker.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to assume players are sort of planeswalkers anyway, this Sun Cleanser ought to be able to hit, a Jace.
Right? Like it might as well.
Jace is too cool for Sun Cleanser?
No more loyalty. Peace. Gone.
Yeah, peace.
Anyways, whatever, though. This card is still kind of good. I don't know. I don't
see myself running it.
Yeah, I me neither. I don't know if it's something where it's like a meta where you have a lot of...
if your meta's rampant with Azuris and stuff, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, maybe it's like a hate bear type of deck, like anything that just hates on specific things. That maybe this goes in to that type of deck. I think it's usable. I think it's I think you can include it in maybe it's a cleric deck that wants it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the one problem is it's not a thing you can bounce and abuse it and make it hit multiple things. It's as long as this is as long as it stays on, it does that thing. And if you bounce it and bring it back, it can do a new thing now, but it's not doing that old one anymore. So,
right.
Anyways, neat, weird little card.
I forgot to update this tab, but we're going to talk about Remorseful Cleric next.
Oh, okay. Well, we had Valiant Knight, but that's simply a Knight tribal card. You'll know it's good when you see it.
It makes knights bigger.
Yeah, exactly. Remorseful Cleric is the 1 and a white flyer for 2. It's a 2/1, and you can sack it to exile all cards from a player's graveyard.
And so again, because we're talking about like we had the Meteor Golem as well, the fact that this effect is on a creature, it makes it really easy to recur it. So we can keep graveyards in check if we have a kind of deck that can abuse that.
Yeah. This is a nice addition to Carador. Even though Carador is itself a graveyard deck, it can stop other graveyard decks from doing anything. Okay, now we're on to blue. White looks pretty good. There's some pretty decent stuff in there for white.
Yeah, I like Cleansing Nova a lot.
Yeah. All right. Metamorphic Alteration. 1 and a blue for an aura that says enchant creature. As Metamorphic Alteration enters the battlefield, you choose a creature. It's funny that it doesn't say you choose a creature on the battlefield. I guess you just choose... Enchanted creature is a copy of the chosen creature. I guess in order for it to be a copy, it has to be something on the battlefield. Anyways, you basically just it's like after clone. Like you clone it after the fact.
Yeah, you won't get the ETB ability of the creature because your creature was already on the battlefield. So that is a significant drawback.
Yeah.
But, even if I don't get the ETB of a Grave Titan, I'm happy to have a Grave Titan.
Exactly. And this is really cheap. Like the other cheap clone you get is a Phantasmal Image, and that one is if you target it, it dies. So this is something maybe a little better for Commander, although not getting that ETB is definitely a downside.
You have to have your own creature as well. So like that kind of like what's
true. You're right.
You have to be able to throw away that creature. I mean, you're going to upgrade it, but like I hope it wasn't a utility creature.
Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting card though. What's next?
Mistcaller. 1 blue. No, I don't mean 1 and a blue, just a single blue mana. It's a 1 CMC. Merfolk Wizard 1/1. Sacrifice Mistcaller. Until end of turn, if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. Ooh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's this has a big impact for other formats, I would say, certainly. But definitely it has a place in Commander too. This is what's the white card that did this? That was really big. It was in a Commander deck and was really expensive.
Instant, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was I think it was a rare.
It was
in
a flash
set.
creature. I think it was a flash creature, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, I'll find it.
So anyways, basically, like if you're trying to like natural order out a massive green creature, or if your opponent's trying to like, I don't know, like a reanimate thing, right? Like an animate dead or something, or if there's some sneaky way they're trying to polymorph something like into like an Emrakul or something like that, Mistcaller is your way to deal with it. The thing is, I think the downside to Mistcaller is that it sits on the battlefield and lets your opponents know, hey, you've got to get rid of this before Mistcaller happens. Now,
I actually think that's an upside.
Yeah, it like
Containment Priest.
It's just that they know, yes, Containment Priest, that's it. So they just know that they have to kill Mistcaller first, so if they have a removal spell, they'll do it. You know what I mean? Whereas if they didn't, you could, like Containment Priest, for example, I think the reason it's really sought after is that it has it has flash, so they don't know, like you can flash it in and do that ability, and then they're like, oh no.
Well, I guess I mean, maybe it's philosophical playstyle at this point, but I prefer the Mistcaller effect because if my opponent needs to kill it to do something, then I've wasted a removal spell. Like they'll eat a removal spell for it that they won't be able to use on some other stuff, and that slows them down. The time they're spending to cast that removal spell, they're not doing the other thing they wanted to do.
Although they'll probably wait till end step to kill your thing, and then on their turn they'll do the thing
that's fair. But then the turn before they didn't do anything with the kill spell in hand. Like they're not gonna, like I've slowed their tempo down for my 1 blue mana.
there's ups and downs, right? Like, obviously, if you have a Vidalcan Orrery or something else that gives creatures flash, Mistcaller is the best you could ever ask for. It's just great.
Sure.
And again, recurability is strong here too. Like if you can recast it or get it back from your graveyard, it's just really good. There's ups and there's like I think like it's all situational, right? Mistcaller can be better than Containment Priest, but also the opposite can be true also. It kind of depends on what's going on in the game, I think.
Yes.
It's still very good, though. I think it's still solid.
Yes.
You're going to put it into control decks, I think, and you're going to be happy with it.
The advantage of seeing it coming is you get to deal with it. But if you don't have a way to deal with it, your opponent just will stop playing things.
For one turn.
Well, but like...
If they can't deal with it.
Yeah, if they can't deal... Well, they'll stop for one turn, but they can never... Then you don't sacrifice Mistcaller, so then you keep...
Yeah. But if they can deal with it, they just wait a turn and deal with it, and then the next turn they can do their thing.
Right, but and I guess with Containment Priest, if you miss with Containment Priest, but Containment is the whole thing. Oh, I see, because Containment Priest does that forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Aha! I thought it did it for that turn.
It's a static ability. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
okay. I mean, I didn't think about Containment Priest that closely because it's not budget.
Yeah, it's not budget, and that's why it's probably better. It's because it just that ability just happens. It's just out there now.
All right.
But Mistcaller's still solid though. Like I said, it's still decent. Who read that? Did you read that? Yes, you read that. So next is Nexus of Fate. Now this is the buy a box promo card, right?
Yes.
So who knows what this is going to be like? It's tagged as a mythic, but who knows how much it's going to be. We have no clue. But it's a 7-mana instant, so 5 and 2 blue. For an instant that says, take an extra turn after this one, and then if Nexus of Fate would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. So
I mean, that's very good.
That is very good. It's like, I mean, epic experiment. Yes, please, right? Like... Yes, please shuffle it right back into my library for me to get with the next epic experiment. Fun card, big flashy extra turn cards. I mean, we're no stranger to these, but it's nice to see one printed in a new-ish set. Although we've actually seen them printed the last. They're not. Yeah, like I said, like we're not strangers to them. They've actually popped up here and there. So
they print take a turn spells.
Yeah,
almost every block.
Basically, there's one a block now. Yeah.
Basically, but they often are exiled. This is a rare case where it's not exiled.
Yeah.
You shuffle it into his owner's library. And if I'm not mistaken, like, this will not be standard legal, so you can't...
Oh,
right?
wait,
Am I wrong on that?
I thought the buy box ones were.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think...
Oh, no, it is legal in standard, but I guess they're trying to make it so it's probably not standard playable. Someone will figure out a way to break this one. This is going to be standard for sure.
Oh, you know what? I guess it's because it hasn't dropped yet. That's why it's not legal. I was going to say, Scryfall says it's not legal. It's like, it's because the set's not out yet.
Right. Firesong and Sunspeaker is legal in standard.
Right. Okay. Well, there you go. Neat card. You got your 7-mana extra turn spell. I think it's going to be pretty good.
And it's instant.
Yeah.
So I can do it on your opponent's last turn, which is not something you can do with most of these cards. I don't know of another instant take a turn spell.
So you can do this and then take a turn in between
their end step, right? And then your actual first.
You can take it. You can take a turn between it's Butler goes, then it's Alistair, then it's you, then it's me. I can take a turn between you, like Butler and Alistair. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, cool. What's next?
The next one is called Omniscience. This is a reprint. This used to be like $35, and it's dropped to 10 already. I think all these will drop even lower than their pre-sale price. That's usually how it works. So Omniscience is a combo card. It's 7 blue for an enchantment. You may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana costs. Everything free.
I played a game with the Elder Dragon Society dudes, and they got an Omniscience out and just won the game. That's a lot. That's how a lot of combo players will do that. They will do some crazy thing that like transmogrifies an enchantment into an enchantment, and the only other enchantment they have in their deck is Omniscience, and then they'll get it, and then they'll just win the game because they'll just play everything from their hand. This card is broken. It's busted because there's lots of ways to get it for cheaper and all that kind of stuff. So combo players rejoice. Competitive Commander players, I guess, rejoice. Casual players still get to do some fun things with it too, though. So I'm happy to see this reprinted.
Omniscience.
Omniscience. That's what when I was typing it out, I'm like, oh, that's how you spell it. Just like how whenever when I was younger and I needed to learn how to spell conscience.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it's conscience.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Yeah, all right. Omniscience. It's a very powerful magic card.
Yeah.
Not much else to say about it. Like so many ways to win the game when you have this card. Like,
This next one is less powerful.
It sure is. One with the machine. 3 and a blue for a sorcery that says draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. Yep, just a decent little draw spell there, and sometimes you have some pretty high CMC artifacts out, so you can actually draw lots of cards off this card. I think it's actually not that bad.
I think your probably average is going to be about 3.
Sure.
I don't like that it's sorcery, though. That is a tough bar to hit in Commander.
True. I wish it was instant,
Yeah.
But like the way I was thinking about it is like a lot of times a Blue Sun Zenith or something like that, one of those types of cards, you a lot of time you'll obviously the upside there is that they're instant, but you might draw 5-6 cards off of it, and maybe even 4 to 6 on like an average case scenario.
Yeah.
Obviously it can be much bigger, and in dire straits you might do it for even less. But I think this is gonna hit around that average in an artifact deck.
I think so too.
I think it'll be okay. Next.
Ooh, Patient Rebuilding. Very interesting art. This is 3 blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard that way. So I ran a Sidisi Brewed Tyrant deck for a while where I'm always putting 3 cards into the graveyard. That's a common thing in that deck. So I feel like, and then that deck ran a lot of creatures and whiffed sometimes. So you will whiff sometimes with this. But you could draw 2 cards with it. But it seems like this is an awful lot of mana to pay to get an extra card every upkeep, maybe 2.
Yeah, I included this because I like the cards that just let you draw an extra card on your upkeep. Like Kumena's Awakening with City's Blessing, I think is like a fine budget. This is truly a budget card, by the way. Obviously, more spiky, more competitive players who are spending more on their decks don't have room for something like this. But in budget decks that are running blue, I actually really like the ways that just draw you cards on your upkeep. They'll draw you an extra card or whatever. Like it's essentially a Phyrexian arena, right? Like, So Patient Rebuilding, I think on average is probably going to draw you 1 card per turn on average. You might whiff on some, you might hit 2 on another. I don't know. I like telling budget players that like those cards are options for you, and I think they're actually pretty good.
They are pretty good for sure.
Next, we have Psychic Corrosion, 2 and a blue for an enchantment that says whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. This goes right into any mill graveyard deck. Like this is just totally wreck people with this card.
Well, any deck that wheels, like if you're running Arjun, it's just like, oh cool, I'll cast a spell, I'll put 7 in the bottom and draw 7. Cool, everyone mill 14. Cool, I'll cast one more spell, everyone mill 14.
Yeah, exactly. Like this card can be so powerful. Like you want to know how to mill in Commander, well this is it, because it's each opponent. Like that's how you mill in Commander, is each opponent. So
yeah,
worth noting for those players.
Pretty good.
What's that?
Windreader Sphinx. Great reprint. 5 blue for a Sphinx. It's a 3/7 with flying. Whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. It's when you attack, when opponents attack, and they don't have to attack you.
This is interesting. I did an article for MTG Canada a while back where it was like budget versions of Commander staples, and I think this is kind of like a very much downgraded, as they all tend to be, but a very much downgraded version of like Consecrated Sphinx.
Okay.
Right? So it's like whenever a creature with flying attacks, it's like people are going to have flyers out, and sure, they might not attack you, but they'll probably want to attack other players. Like you can probably draw a couple cards a turn if the flyers are out. Like it's very conditional. Don't get me wrong, it's not a sure thing. But don't forget that Windreader Sphinx will also draw you a card when it attacks, because it's whenever any creature with flying attacks. So
right, and so going back to your discussion about the Patient Rebuilding, you'll be able to attack every turn with this because there's very little that can defeat a 3/7 in the air.
Yeah.
Even if you're just bouncing off another creature and not doing player combat damage. And if this is your only flyer, I mean, if you're very low life total, this is a different story. But if it's your only real flyer, then your opponents with flyers are better incentivized to attack you and just draw you more cards.
Yeah, again, it's definitely a budget card. It's definitely a card for a budget player who's looking to replace cards like staples that draw you cards like, your Rhystic Studies and your Consecrated Sphinxes. I think this is a fine replacement for those cards in those decks. So
yep.
Also, this is a card once was a mythic. Yeah, it was a mythic in Magic 2014. Now it's downgraded to a rare.
Just rare. Well, that covers blue.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
next up is black.
Yep. Here we go.
Typical
blue, standard blue.
Typical blue. Yeah.
What's your favorite card in there? I'm stoked to see Omniscience.
Sure. Psychic Corrosion. I'm a big fan of that one.
Oh yeah, that looks cool. All right, black. We got Death Baron. 1 black for the 2/2 zombie wizard. Sorry, I'm just getting the proper art. There we go. 2/2 zombie wizard. Skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have death touch. This is a staple in zombie tribal, obviously. I'm guessing in skeleton tribal, although I've never seen
Probably is.
I've never seen that deck. But I'm assuming it is. And I believe this one was... I mean, this did have some reprints. This was printed in Plane Chase and Shards of Alara originally. But I think it's like it was a scarcity issue for the price, because this was an expensive card. This was almost up to like $20. And why? Although I think giving zombies death touch is nice.
Yeah, and just like if you're just running a zombie deck, you want as many of these effects as you can.
Yeah. So Death Baron is going to drop right down in price and be available to us players who care about that sort of thing.
Great. Next up is a very fun sorcery. It's Fraying Omnipotence. 3 black for a sorcery. Each player loses half their life, including you, then discards half the cards in their hand, including you, then sacrifices half the creatures they control, including you, round up each time. So if you have 3 creatures on the battlefield, you will sacrifice more than half. You won't go less than half. You'll go to like the decimal place to make you over half. So out of 3 creatures, you lose 2 of them. Out of 5 cards in hand, you lose 3 of them. 39 life, you lose 20.
Go ahead.
It's interesting. It's an interesting effect, right? I don't know what to make of it.
I love that it's in black, because black is the color that cares the least about those things. Like, losing half your life in black isn't the end of the world. There's a lot of life gain effects in black. Discarding half your cards can be a good thing. You don't mind things in your graveyard, and in fact, sometimes you want to discard cards because you have stuff that cares about that. And then, of course, sacking creatures is a thing that black doesn't care about either most of the time. So, Fraying Omnipotence, not only do you get to choose when to play it and make it have the most benefit to yourself, but you're in black, obviously, so you can take advantage of all the things that it does. It's just it's just a big splashy effect. It's going to really affect the board, really affect the game. And I don't know what kind of deck wants it either. Is there a red-black chaos deck? I don't know.
Yes, I'm sure there is.
It's not super chaotic. It's like what's going to happen. It just has a big effect on it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. We had Gravewalker, 4 black for. It's so funny. This is a bird spirit and it has flying, but Grave Waker. That's what it is. That's why it's not Walker. I did write Walker though. It's Grave Waker, 4 black for a 5/5 bird spirit. It's flying, and then you can pay 7 to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it has an animate dead for 7 right on it, which is pretty powerful. I mean, mono.
You're already paying 6 to get it.
Yeah, I mean, 5/5 flyer is not nothing. I'm a big fan of 5/5 flyers for 6.
Yeah, this is an excellent card.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. And then next turn you might choose to spend your 7 mana on getting some big thing out of the yard that you've discarded or something like that. Like, yeah, Gravewaker's cool.
I will choose to do that.
Yeah, all right.
Next is Infernal Reckoning. Single black, instant. Exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. It's good if you see a lot of Eldrazi in your metas.
It's also good for what's it called? The big infect artifact guy.
Oh, Blightsteel.
Blightsteel Colossus. If you know there's people in your meta that are like that do the thing where they get that on turn 2 or something or whatever it is. Yeah. Infernal Reckoning's the answer. This is the same thing as that white card we talked about. It's very meta dependent, very narrow card that you'll know if you want it. I don't know. It deals with any artifact creature, right? Like that's pretty good. Deals with Wormcoil, deals with Blightsteel, deals with any of those other big indestructible artifact creatures. I think this one's got a little bit more room to be included in decks just because of that. Like if you know you're coming up against a lot of colorless creatures, and again against an Eldrazi tribal deck, this thing is great. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how playable it is. You'll know if you want it.
Yeah,
it's a meta thing probably. Next we have Liliana's Contract. 3 black, an enchantment. I love these cards. When Liliana's Contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. So that's pretty good. Drawing 4. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game.
That's very easy.
It's not hard.
There are cheap demons.
Also, there's a card called Conspiracy, which turns everything into demons.
Sure. There's blue cards. There's that blue Arcane Adaptation. Yeah. Like, there's lots of cards that turn things into things.
And as we know, those cards are probably not that good, but somehow we use them all the time on this show.
Yeah. Like, just as a quick scan, like, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4. There's at least 6 3 CMC demons. Even more at every CMC higher than that. So, tons like, you don't even have to cast, like, 8 mana demons to win the game this way.
Yeah, like, this is, like, an auto-included if you have any kind of demon tribal, right?
There's a dude that finds demons.
Yeah, there's that little dude. You sacrifice him to get demons, and you can easily get them back. You keep doing that.
Many demons can search for other cards, so you can search for another demon.
Yeah, so there's tons of upside here. Rakdos tends to have a lot of demons in it. Demons in, like, Eldrazi, of course. I don't know. This is anything that has an alternate win con on it, I think is worth talking about. So,
yeah,
Liliana's Contract. Now, I just have to figure out a way to fit this into my Breya alternate win con deck.
Yes.
How do I turn all of those things into demons?
You got to run Arcane Adaptation.
I guess, yeah.
Now, I feel like, really, though, like, to really do this, we only have 3 of her demons still, right? Like, we've not seen... Oh, but you know what? You can never do this in Commander with the full demons because Grizzlebrand is not allowed in our format.
True, yeah. Is Grizzlebrand
You'll
one
never...
of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is one of them.
Yeah, you'll never get the true contract resolution in Commander.
And isn't the last one, like, doesn't somehow Nicol Bolas get her, like, last one or something?
I don't know if the last one's out yet. I think we haven't seen the last one in card form.
Like, in Bolas's Clutches is the card where it's like, aha, Liliana, now you have to do what I say. And it's like, I don't know.
Oh, so, like, are you saying that Nicol Bolas killed the last demon and took the contract?
Yeah, like, he somehow got the contract, and now she has to do what he says. Oh. I haven't read any of the story, obviously. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think there's something that hints at that in the cards anyways.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, Liliana's Contract. Neat little card.
Neat. And then the last black card we're going to talk about this time is Open the Graves. 3 black for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Again, we had this reference earlier about whenever a creature leaves the graveyard. So a lot of times when we're reanimating things, black decks tend to want to do that. Things are coming out of the graveyard, things are going back in the graveyard. If we're getting bats and zombies while we're just doing that anyway, that's just huge bonus.
Yeah, there's got to be some way to, like, loop an infinite combo with this, right? Where you get something that does care about... so this cares about non-token creatures dying, and then there's something that doesn't care. So it's like, then you get that, and you get some non-token creature back, and then, like, there's got to be something where that happens. And even if not, like, this is just good for value in a deck that wants to sack things, and obviously Zombie Tribal. I'll put this in my Zombie Tribal deck for sure.
It's Wrath Protection to a degree.
True, yeah, definitely. All right, well, there's black, doing what black does, caring about zombies and making tokens and making it discard stuff and bringing things back, and yep, that's what it does. All right. All right, red. We're kind of on the home stretch a little bit here, as, like, there aren't as many red and green cards, sadly.
Oh, but do not be fooled and think that green is the end. There's some multicolor and there's a lot of planeswalkers.
There's a bunch of planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Let's do red here.
Alpine Moon, single red, enchantment. As Alpine Moon enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. Lands your opponents control with the chosen name lose all land types and abilities, and they gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. So clearly this is like a Blood Moon. They're trying to make a fair Blood Moon.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick one land, and your opponents can't use that land for what they were going to use it for. So if your meta runs a ton of like utility lands that annoy you, you can get them all with Alpine Moon. But I almost feel like just run like a Stone Rain.
No, you only get one. Choose a non-basic land card.
That's what I'm saying. But if all of your opponents have a Rogue's Passage, you get all the Rogue's Passages.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So a Stone Rain, like one of those, like those like destroy a land, will only ever get one.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see a world where that's so much better, where Alpine Moon is better than just destroying the land you care about.
So maybe I'm just affected by GP Vegas, where we saw a great range of power of decks, but. I thought of Alpine Moon, and again, like we refer to it back to your own meta, your own play experience, and like I'm like, well, this card's what do you get? I get to turn off everyone's Rogue's Passage, like big deal. But in more spikier metas, like you're turning off what's it called? You're turning off like Thespian Stage so that they can't get their like Merit Lage or whatever, right? Like you're turning off much better lands with this. Urborg, yeah. Your Maze of Ith, even if that's something your deck cares about. So
there are definitely more lands in our meta now that Ixalan gave us those flip lands.
That's true. Yeah, you can turn off the Profane Procession land. You can turn off the Gaia's Cradle, the Itlamok, right? So it's just something to think about. I think it's less good for those types of things, just because that's so specific. It's like one land, whereas if you know that there's a lot of very troublesome lands that will just help people win the game, Alpine Moon is something that you might want to think about. Although I think you're probably just going to run Blood Moon over that stuff anyways. Or even,
if you're in that spiky of a meta,
even the one that came out in Ixalan is even better. Blood Sun, right? Like that just hits all non-basics. Turns them into just tapping for whatever. Whatever. Anyways, Alpine Moon, very, very specific and probably not meant for Commander. You're probably looking at one of the older formats for this. But anyways.
Okay. What's next?
Apex of Power, 7 and 3 red. So this is a 10 mana card. It's a sorcery. Anytime you see a spell with this CMC, you've got to think Commander. Let's see what it does. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way. And then if this spell was cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any one color.
So you get your mana back if you cast it from your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a whole bunch of instants and sorceries. Oh, just non-lands.
No, anything. As well. Yeah, anything, really. Yeah.
It's interesting.
So it's free. It's essentially, it extends your hand for a turn. And right, like that's kind of all it does. It extends your hand for a turn, gives you back the mana you spent. It doesn't untap lands, which is interesting because you can't like gain mana off of it because of like the bounce lands or anything like that. And
you can't cast them for free.
And it's only mana of one color. So
if
you're in a multicolored deck, you get all your red back, but then it's like if you need black or blue or whatever, you can't. Tough luck.
And copying the spell isn't casting it from your hand, so you'll only get the 10 mana once, even if you get more cards to cast.
Yeah. They've done a real good job of making this look like it's bigger than it is, but really it just extends your hand by 7 cards for one turn.
Yeah. I would rather just find a way to draw 7 cards for 10 mana.
Yeah, and you have to get to 10 mana before you can even do it.
And if I'm mono red, that's maybe I don't have a lot of draw options, but I also don't have a great way to get to 10 without a ton of rituals.
Yeah.
And if my deck's full of rituals, who cares if I hit more rituals?
I guess it does. I guess it is okay for mono red in that, like, since it's not on tap lands, like you can get there with artifact ramp, and it still gives you that back.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, Apex, is this like just some weird storm card that we don't like, a 10 mana storm card?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, it's big, it's flashy, but is it that good?
I mean, you've technically cast a free spell if you get your mana back.
Yeah. Look at the top 7, see what you get.
Okay.
Anyways, but let us know if this card is going to be good in your deck.
Yeah.
I can't really tell. I mean, it is fine. It's just that you have to wait so long to get to it. You know?
This next card seems good, though.
All right. What is it?
Goblin Trash Master. 2 red for a 3/3 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. That's already amazing in a goblin deck. Mm-hmm. And then sacrifice a goblin, destroy target artifact. That is so good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, goodbye all artifacts ever in my goblin against my goblin deck.
Yeah. Never. Yeah, you don't get them. You don't get to keep them.
You get 0 artifacts because I can make 1,000,000 goblins.
This is what? This is an auto include in Commander Goblin for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, that's great. Next we have Sarkhan's Unsealing. 3 in a red for an enchantment that says whenever you cast a creature spell with power 4, 5, or 6, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to any target. So it's kind of like a different. What am I thinking of here? Help me out. It's the 6 mana enchantment.
Oh, Warstorm Surge?
Warstorm Surge, thank you. And
yes.
Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 7 or greater, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. So it's like, you can get board wipes if you're casting big creatures.
I mean, they have to have power 7 or greater, so to cast 2 in a turn is unlikely. Unless you're something like Animar, in which this is just the dirtiest card. Just like, I'll cast 6 creatures that have 7 or greater, so you all take 24 and all your creatures take 24. Go.
And deal, and like on your way there you're casting 4, 5, and 6 and still dealing 4 damage to them. Like, I think you're gonna see this card pop up in some decks. I think this is maybe something you might see in a dragon deck. I think this is
is cast.
It is
not
cast.
Enters.
It's true. It's not enter yet.
Warstorm has the advantage that way.
It is just ETB. You're right. Yeah. Okay. But I think you'll still see it. I think it's I think that second ability is the one that makes it, that puts it into like, okay, I want to run this now. It's only 4 mana to cast, which isn't too bad. And power 7 or greater, like if you cast it, it's a pseudo board wipe, but you're gonna wipe the thing of all the smaller things, so
for sure.
And keep your big things alive when doing it.
Yep.
Neat. Okay, I like this one.
Well, I think I added one, but I don't think I did a tab for it. I think I forgot to save them, but I would like to talk about Dark Dweller Oracle. 1 in a red for a Goblin Shaman that is 2/2. And 1, sacrifice a creature, no taps, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. I just think this is a very interesting ability in red. So if you've got a lot of goblins, this is a great way to sort of get extra card draw in a weird way. You have to sacrifice creatures to do it, but I just like the design of it. I'm very intrigued by it.
Yeah, you have to pay 1 to get the card, and then you need.
Then you have to pay to cast it.
But you can play it. Like if it's a land, you can play that land, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just
red doesn't get a lot of sack outlets for creatures.
No, red gets lots of them. Red has tons of sack outlets.
I know those Goblin Bombardment.
Well,
aren't most of them artifact?
No,
you're probably right. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Although, most of them are kind of like this, where you have to pay like 1 to do it.
Yeah,
a lot of them, like that's why Goblin Bombardment is so good. Is that it's in red and it's one of the free ones. Black usually gets the free ones more than anything else.
Right.
But definitely, there's lots in red. But you generally just have to pay for them.
Yeah.
There's Goblin Bombardment where you have to pay red to do it. There's Goblin Bombardment where you can do an artifact and you have to pay colorless to do it. That one was from Ixalan.
Right. Munitions.
Yeah, exactly. I like that card, by the way. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, Dark Dweller Oracle. Neat. Let's go on to green here and look at Gigantosaurus. 5
very
green.
Name.
Yeah, very fun name. 5 green for a 10/10 creature. Like, this guy's nuts. It's like Galta, but you need all green and doesn't have trample. Anyways, I just thought it's kind of silly that they made this 5 mana 10/10 dinosaur.
There's always this always makes me think of like, what are the things that care about power for low CMC, like if it's in my graveyard. I'm sure there's some interesting things you can do with this. So let's just be, if you care about like devotion to green, this is an excellent card as well.
Very much, yeah.
So just keep that in the back of your mind, but on a whole it's a little bit silly.
There's the why can I remember that he's the Scar mage or something, the Golgari guy who makes God, I'm the worst with names. The Golgari.
Oh yeah, Varol's.
Varol's the Scar striped. That's it. Varol's, for only 5, you get to put 10 counters on something if this is in your graveyard, so that's good.
Yeah. Does Varol's care about the mana color that you spend on it, or
no.
can Varol's use?
No. Varol's just you pay like
better.
5 to do. You'll pay 5 to do it. Okay. What's our next green one here?
Yeah. Okay. The next green card is Hungering Hydra. X and a green for a Hydra creature. It's as all Hydras are. They start 0/0, but they enter the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Hungering Hydra can't be blocked by more than one creature, so that's very interesting. So you don't get to gang up and kill it if you make it big enough. So often the only way to kill it will be with Death Touch. Whenever Hungering Hydra is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So if it isn't big enough to kill it, if you chump this thing, you're only making it bigger.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to give it trample, but there's an interesting like balance here where if you make this big enough and they don't have a way to like straight kill it in a combat, they have to just use temporary chumps with the hope that they'll be able to deal with it sooner or later.
Mm-hmm. It kind of reminds me of, I think it's Primordial Hydra, or Primeval Hydra, I think it is actually, where it's the one where it's like if damage would be dealt to it, you prevent that damage and then put double of that many counters of what it was. So you remove 2 counters, you prevent the damage, remove that many counters, and then put double on. So it's like a true Hydra. It's like you cut one of its heads off and then 2 more grow back, right? So Hungering Hydra is a little like in flavor with that old school Hydra feel. So I kind of like it.
Right.
Yeah. Next we have Runic Armasaur. This is a good one. 1 green for a 2/5. So 3 mana for a 2/5 is pretty good stats.
Yeah.
It's a dinosaur, and whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. This, I think, is this going to be? It's not going to be as good as something like Rhystic Study, for example. But is this going to be on the same type of thing where it's like, oh, I really want to activate my creature, and I don't care if you draw a card, so I'll just do it? Because a lot of people will just be like, well, I need to cast this creature, so you can draw a card from Rhystic Study. Like, is this going to be a thing where people don't care about it, or is this going to stop them from doing their thing?
It depends on the creature, because if your commander has an activated ability, you've presumably built your whole deck around it, so you're not going to not do that.
Exactly.
Like you think Gave isn't going to move counters on to make Cyberlings? Like, no way. You think Krenko isn't going to double your goblins? Like, that's going to happen.
I think this card's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I think almost any green deck might want this card. Again, like you said, like just stopping... Or not stopping, but just being able to okay, well, when the Gave player starts going off, they do it, they can create infinite mana and do it infinite times. Like, well, that means I draw as many cards as I want to find a way to deal with what you're doing, right?
Right.
So they get an interesting choice. Now, obviously, it's a May, so you don't have to draw. So it's not like if someone does get some activated infinite combo, you kill yourself, but you can dig to find an answer for it, which is interesting.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. And a 2/5 body, that's not... Some utility creatures are just like, oh yeah, put this in any deck. But it's like, yeah, but it's like a 1/1, so people just ignore it and just attack through you. They don't always get to attack through you for free with this.
Yeah, at least it's a blocker, and are they going to... They might. I feel like this is the thing where it's like, after they see you draw a bunch of cards from it, they'll be like, oh, okay, we probably should kill that, But I like that it comes down kind of early, though. This is a 3-mana creature if someone wants to get their commander out right away and start activating its abilities, well, you're going to be drawing some cards from it. So
yeah,
I think this might be in the running for my favorite card in the whole set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's got that hidden ability that's really, it's got that hidden value that I think is actually going to be really good, but just flies under the radar enough that people won't prioritize it for removal. Obviously, it dies to board wipes, which is bad, but other than that.
Well, see what creature can't you say that about?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah.
One more green card, and it's a reprint and a much needed one. I mean, we don't love this card, but it's got very expensive because of modern. It's Scape Shift. There's a whole deck named after it. 2 green for a sorcery. Sacrifice any number of lands. Search your library for up to that many land cards, not basics. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So, I am intrigued by this card because it's a sorcery. I mean, if we have any sort of landfall effects, this is incredible. If we have Tetiova, for example, that's going to be great. And also, we now have a lot of effects like Ramunap Excavator lets us play lands from the graveyard. There's a Splendid Reclamation. Put all your lands back from the graveyard.
Crucible is in this set.
Crucible's in the set, right? So, like...
It's funny that they're going to print a card like Scape Shift and then put so much support for it. It's like they want there to be a Scape Shift deck in Standard.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, like we're on the budget discussion of it. It was a $40 plus card.
Yeah.
And it's currently pre-selling for $20. It is a mythic. And I do believe, Tetiova is the only landfall I can think of in the Standard off the top of my head once Amonkhet and Kaladesh rotate. So maybe they're, like, I don't know what you gain from it. You can't get deserts because deserts will be gone.
Yeah, you're losing Ramunap Excavator, actually. You're not going to get
but card. You still have Waker of the Wilds, so if you have a way to sacrifice it, you get all your lands.
Yeah, back. I was going to say Waker of the Wilds is a card, and you get the Mending of Dominaria.
Yeah, this is a great land to play just before the Mending takes off.
So like Brawl, there's some implications for Brawl there. Obviously, it's a big Standard impact. And for Commander, obviously, we're happy to see this card reprinted because there are definitely lots of Commander decks that would love to run Escape Shift. But
would love to run it.
Like, I'd definitely throw this in my Angry Omnath deck, but
anything
way
with
too
landfall.
expensive. But now maybe this will come down to the point where I'm okay with splurging and getting one.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Okay, and that's it for green. Surprisingly. Boom. That's only 4 cards in green that we talked about, and one of them is basically a joke. Like Gigantosaurus, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised with the lack of Commander relevant green cards in this set. And quite disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because green is, where's our good ramp spells? There's basically none.
I mean, with Grow from the Ashes, it's hard to top that.
But I mean, they don't need to top it. Just give me one more. Like even if I'm just thinking about Brawl, give me one more for Brawl that I can use.
Yeah, right? We're losing Beneath the Sands.
Yeah, so, but for Commander, not a lot of great options for green here. Just a couple.
Okay.
But I do like that Runic Armasaur quite a bit. Okay, multicolored. Honestly, these ones are a little underpowered too, but there's some good ones. One of them that's a little middle of the road here is Draconic Disciple. 1 red-green as a Gruul card. It's a 2/2 creature. You tap to add 1 mana of any color. So there's a little mana dork that taps for any color, which is nice. And then it has the pay 7, tap, sack it, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Is this going to go in a dragon deck? I don't know. Probably not.
No, because we have Dragon Speaker Shaman who makes them for free on your upkeep.
But if you're running mana dorks in one of those decks, like this can be good in those 5-color ones just because it makes mana of any color. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, is it worth 3 mana for a mana dork with bonus sometimes upside? I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, just I don't know. It might be. Who knows?
Well, here's something.
Yeah.
Satyr Enchanter. 1 green-white, Satyr Druid, 2/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. We love these. There's whole decks that want as many of these types of effects as possible. Here's another.
And a lot of them are green-white, so perfect.
Yep.
Next we have Regal Bloodlord. 3 white-black for a Vampire Soldier. With flying. It's a 2/4. And it says at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So you get a 1/1 little flyer if you gained life that turn.
Gaining 1 life a turn is very easy.
Yeah, very easy. Lots of decks do this. Vampire decks especially do this nowadays. And getting a little token on every turn is not bad.
Andy, what expression is this character making?
this
It's very confusing. Is he scared? Is he holding in a fart?
I think he's going, nice. Good.
It's to me, it almost looks like he's going like, someone's like, hey, Regal Bloodlord, you just were reanimated from the dead. Guess what year it is?
2004?
No, not even close.
Nah, man, you're way off. Sorry, Regal Bloodlord. You're an M19, brother. What's next?
Ooh, we got Poison Tip Archer, 2 black-green for an elf archer. It's 2/3 with reach. It also has Death Touch. So reach and Death Touch already. I run decks that just want those as like blockers. But also, whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. This is an angle on those aristocrats that I don't know if we've seen before, right? The only one that affects all opponents are when our creatures die. But here's one that triggers when any creature dies, and it affects all opponents. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Very good. It's in 2 colors, but it's in the colors that generally want this.
This is a powerful card.
I think this card's really good. Reach and Death Touch, again, like you said, is very, very relevant. And then this also stops other players from going infinite with their infinite like loop death combos, right? Because whenever another creature dies, I mean those creatures tend to do that too. But yeah, just another blood artist, but better.
It's decent wrath protection.
Yeah, but exactly. It's great.
Like, is anyone gonna wrath the board with this down? Not likely, because I mean I've got 5 creatures. Your opponents each have like 5 to 10. That's a lot of life loss.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next one, Skyrider Patrol. This one is not a big commander card probably, but there might be a deck or two that want it. It's 2 and Simic, so 2 green-blue for a 2/3 flyer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay blue-green. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control, and that creature gains flying until end of turn. So, +1/+1 counter decks might want something like this. I actually think the fact that it gives it flying is pretty relevant, even though it is for just for that turn. You make a creature bigger permanently, and for that turn, it probably can swing in and hit something. I think that's not bad.
And I'm going to assume you've got ways that to abuse +1/+1 counters, +1/+1 counters, or creatures that do something like a Fathom Mage, for example, where that counter, you'll get something for it.
Yeah, exactly. I've been toying with running or building an Experiment Crage deck.
Oh,
and I think this card goes in Experiment Crage because it's another way to put counters on stuff. So Skyrider Patrol. I don't know. I think it's it's probably pretty narrow for +1/+1 counter decks, but might be a neat addition. I think that flying upside is not nothing.
Right.
Okay, well that's all of the legendary creatures and all the cards that matter. Finally, we have a spot down here for planeswalkers, which usually is about 3 or 4 cards, but in this case the Wizards decide to go nuts, and
there's 10.
There's 10
one.
So what they did is they put 5 they did a cycle of 5 monocolored planeswalkers in the set, and then instead of the regular 2 that they do for the Planeswalker decks, they've made 5 Planeswalker decks, which are all standard legal, and obviously we'll see if they're any good for Commander. So let's get through this home stretch here with the Planeswalkers. And they've kind of done like the alternate color of Planeswalkers, except for one.
Right.
There's no Jaces, there's no Chandras here. We get their alts. The bench warmers are in for this one. This is the third quarter, and we're up by a bit, so we let our stars rest, except for LeBron. We left him in. Okay, let's go.
Is it Johnny LeBron?
I think Liliana's LeBron.
Oh yeah, Liliana's LeBron.
She's still in there. Okay, let's do it. Sean, you can hit both of the. Let's trade on the colors instead of the things.
Okay, sure. So I'll do the 2 Ajani's. The first one is the one you can get in booster packs. So you might draft this one. Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants, 2 white, 4 loyalty to start, +1. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Okay, not a lot of creatures. -2, return target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Not I mean, converted mana cost 2. There's not a lot of great creatures in our format for that. There are plenty, but we probably don't have a ton in our decks. And then -7 if we can get there. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So on the 4th turn of it sticking around untouched, you get to get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, create 3 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. All of these seem very underwhelming for all of their Planeswalker abilities. There are many better +1s, many better minuses, and many better ultimates. This overall seems like a C+ in all aspects.
I don't even think it's C+. I think it's like a C to C- probably.
Yeah.
And especially for Commander. Like, Commander, there's all the other Ajani's are probably better, except for maybe one. But, I have a Naya Planeswalker like counters and tokens matter deck, and I don't even know if I run this in it. I don't think I do.
No. So now let's look at the one that comes in the battle decks, or whatever they're calling them these days, the Planeswalker decks, because we would assume these are better for Commander because they'll be costed a bit higher and the abilities might be a little bit flashier, less interested for Standard, so the demand should be lower. Ajani Wise Counselor, 3 white, starts with 5, and then you can +2. You gain 1 life for each creature you control. Okay, I mean, gaining life is good if we care about it, but it doesn't protect Ajani, it doesn't change the board. -3, creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. I mean, that's decent. For 5 mana, we can get like a little anthem, like a September Anthem effect, but we can do that for cheaper. Or -9, so we start with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So on the 3rd turn of it existing and not doing anything, we get to -9, put X -1/-1 counters on target.
+1.
Sorry, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature where X is your life total. I mean, that's going to be a boatload of +1/+1 counters, but it's just one creature.
One murder, and that's nothing.
Right? I mean, if you got a hexproof trampler,
sure.
That's going to be a thing. I mean, you've gained a lot of life, presumably by +1ing a bunch, but you need everything to be going in your favor for this to be good. I don't love it.
Classic problem with the Planeswalker, it doesn't protect itself. Ajani does not protect itself. He just gains a bunch of life. Underwhelmed with these Ajanis, I'll tell you. I love Ajani as a character. I think a big, cool lion dude with a giant axe thing is really neat. But
is he supposed to defeat Nicol Bolas? Is that what's happening in this plane?
He has fought Nicol Bolas before, I think on Alara, and he was successful.
It's like there's a showdown in this block.
Successful in that he didn't die, and I think drove Bolas away. Maybe I don't know the story.
Right, but this seems to be post Amonkhet. Like there's a lot of Amonkhet imagery in some of the Nicol Bolas cards.
Yeah.
So it looks like this is the team coming back to fight him. I don't know.
Maybe. Let's take a look at the blue Planeswalker in this set, which thankfully, finally,
not a J.
His name does not begin with J, and he doesn't have a hood. His name is Desecrated Artifice Master. So this is the one again from PAX. 3 blue, legendary Tezzeret, 5 loyalty, +1. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. He has a 0, and that's draw a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards instead. That's pretty good, actually. And then the -9 is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. So I think this guy's okay. For Commander, I think the draw is most likely going to be draw 2 cards. You're going to put this guy in a deck with a bunch of artifacts in it. He creates 1 himself, so he can protect himself a bit. And then that -9, I mean, you can go get any permanent. You're going to go get something pretty good. So could be a combo piece. Could be just some really super powerful thing. I don't know. I think it's okay to not great. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. It's decent.
Again, the ultimate is very flashy, but we cannot expect to ever get it.
Yeah.
Our opponents will not let us get that easily. And just drawing some cards and getting Thopters, like I can do better.
Yeah. It's if you really care about the Planeswalker aspect of it, of course, I think it's okay for the draw just because it's a 0. But other than that, yeah, not. I mean, most Planeswalkers, let's be honest, are not that impressive in Commander. Period. So that's going to be our general attitude towards most of these. But let's take the one from the Planeswalker deck. This one is Tezzeret Cruel Machinist. Machinist, yeah. Machinist. Yeah, sure, why not? 4 blue so it's 6 mana for a 4 loyalty walker. +1 is draw a card. It again has a 0, and it's until your next turn, target artifact you control becomes a 5/5 creature in addition to its other types. And then -7 is put any number of cards from your hand onto the battlefield face down. They're 5/5 artifact creatures. What an interesting thing to do there.
Yeah.
So no matter what you have in your hand, no matter how many cards you have, you put them out, they're all going to be 5/5s. And that just is static. That just it applies from now on. So that's actually kind of good. But for Commander, I don't know if it's that good. You're probably going to want those cards to be what they are printed as.
Well, I mean...
Do you put this guy in a morph deck?
But I don't know if you can flip the... Can you flip up a morph if it's been turned down with this ability?
Yes, because the morph ability is the only thing that allows it to flip up. So if it's face down for any reason, you can flip it up. Because like Ixodron, right, just flips things over.
Sure. And if they can flip themselves back up, that's fine. Yeah. So what do they turn into when they flip back up?
They turn into what they are, I think, printed, right?
They're not 5/5 artifact creatures anymore?
I don't know, are they?
You don't know?
I don't know.
I mean, it won't come up because I don't predict to run this in Commander.
I think they get, like, now they're like, when they were 2/2 morphs, like, they're not a 2/2 morph anymore. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I think they just stopped being whatever they were on their other side.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't love this guy. He does protect himself a little better than the Ajani's, at least. Like, if you have an artifact out, it becomes a 5/5.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not great, but, whatever.
Little skinny arm Tezzeret.
Yeah.
Okay, so now on to Liliana, the LeBron of it. So this is the Liliana that you can get from packs. This one is 2 black for 4 loyalty. And if you go up by 1, you get to put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. If at least one of them is a zombie, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So it's going to ask you to play Zombies Tribal.
Right.
-2. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of zombies you control. So if this is a zombie deck, that's probably going to just kill anything on the board, irregardless of indestructibility and stuff like that. -3, which we can do right away.
Yeah.
Liliana can do this right away. You may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. I mean... That seems all right.
That's something. Yeah.
Yeah. Black has the ability to ramp quite nicely with things like Crypt Ghast and ways to like get more mana out of swamps and things like that. So you can just drop Liliana -3 and then just cast a bunch of stuff from your graveyard. If they kill her, I mean, that's a great way to protect yourself by filling your board up again.
Yeah, like this is one I'm a little more excited about in Commander, and it's funny because it doesn't really have an ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, and you didn't say the name. This is Liliana Untouched by Death.
Ooh, yes, Untouched by Death.
In case people are keeping track out there. Cool. Yep, okay. I kind of like this one. Obviously very narrow. Only Zombie Tribal will care about this, but if you're in that deck, get yourself this Lily. She seems good.
Great. The other Liliana, the one that comes from the decks, Liliana the Necromancer, 3 black, 4 loyalty to begin with, +1, target player loses 2 life. I mean, that's almost nothing. -1, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. This spell is worth less than 1 black mana because usually for 1 black we get an upside with that effect. We very often get to take 2 pirates back to our hand or something like that. -7, so it's going to be 5, 6, 7, and then we activate. So it takes 4 full turns of her on the table untouched to be able to destroy up to 2 target creatures. Put up to 2 creatures from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Oh no, from any graveyard. So you reanimate 2 things and you destroy 2 things. So you could get the 2 things you just destroyed if you wanted to.
Yeah, this is. I mean, the ones from the decks have really. Usually, the ones they make in the Planeswalker decks are like better for Commander, but they cost more, and so that they're not attractive to the standard players. These ones are just pretty bad, I think. Like, this is just straight up bad. Target player loses 2 life. like a grave digger effect, like that's not terrible, I guess. But then you paid 5 for a planeswalker to get that ability. Now she's got 3 loyalty. You'd better have something to protect her, otherwise you just paid 5 mana for a grave digger. Like,
yeah, it's because like
without the creature.
Like, let's assume our game plan is to just uptick our planeswalker forever until we can ultimate, right? That's the typical line for that most planeswalkers want to take. The minus is the thing that's most likely to protect herself, right? I'll get a creature back, I'll put it in the way. If you kill it, cool, I'll get it back, I'll put it in the way. But I can't that's just the minus. I can't do that forever because then she'll just disappear. Yeah, I don't like it.
Not impressed with these Planeswalker deck ones.
Who's red?
Red. Okay. Well, I mean, usually red isn't the place we go for really good Planeswalkers in Commander, but let's see what old Sarkhan has to say. Sarkhan the Fireblood is the one we'll get from the packs of M19. It's 1 and 2 red, so 3 mana for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. Its +1 is you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay, that's what's it called? Faithless Looting? That's 2, I guess. But anyways, whatever. +1, it's a rummage. +1 is add 2 mana in any combination of colors and spend this mana only to cast dragon spells. So another card that cares about the tribal type thing. And -7, so we got 2 +1s, and then we got a -7, is create 4 5/5 red dragon creature tokens with flying.
Wow.
I mean, that's going to take a long time to get to. I like that they're including these, like, this little bit of mana ramp on these red planeswalkers now. There's like a Chandra that has that too.
Yeah, most Chandras have something like that.
Yeah, so
lately.
Yeah, I mean,
he goes into Dragon Tribal, no sweat.
It's not super threatening until you're starting to get up to 5 and 6 loyalty, right? Like, this might be a card that people just let live. Although if you play it on 3, people are going to swing into it with whatever they have on the board just because they might as well. If you are right, but if you're playing a Dragon Tribal deck, then you can assume that, like, you'll get 2 of Sarkhan's 3 mana back the turn you cast him. So if you're able to cast Sarkhan, get 2 of those back, and then drop a 6-drop dragon, maybe you have that other dragon out so that you get a 6/6 dragon that comes along with it, something like that. So now Sarkhan's protected himself very well, and now those are all upticks. Sarkhan doesn't downtick until you get to the ultimate. That's true. Yeah, Dragon Tribal. Sure. I'm interested to see how much this Planeswalker, like, they're saying right now this Planeswalker is $14.
Well, they always are for pre-sale before it sets out, because they can never pre-sell anything that's mythic for like $2.
Yeah.
Because people, like, you just never know. Like, what if it becomes $10? The stores will just, like, they just start them really, really high. So people who want them that bad, they'll make a few extra bucks off these people, and then it'll come down to what it's really worth.
So yeah, wait on this guy. The one that you get from the Planeswalker decks is Sarkhan Dragon Soul, and it's a 6 mana Planeswalker, 4 and 2 red, 5 loyalty. Its +2 is he deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature your opponents control. That's basically nothing. -3, Sarkhan deals 4 damage to target player or Planeswalker. Only players or Planeswalkers. Okay. Not super stoked about that. And -9 is search your library for any number of dragon creature cards and put them onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. So the ultimate is certainly something you want to get in a Dragon Tribal deck. But are you going to get there with this Planeswalker? I don't think so.
It takes 3 turns.
You got to have
a long time.
This is a guy you got to have the protection out and make sure it lasts.
But, like, dragon decks are the best at protecting their board.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, they're all flying and they're all big, so very few things are getting through them.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, other than that, it has no way to protect itself, but this is a 6 mana Planeswalker, so it's not like you drop this early and you got to fend off creatures. Like, you probably have a bit of a board before you drop this guy, so.
I would think so.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, again, you got 2 decent Dragon Tribal commanders. I don't know about general commanders, though. Sorry,
yeah.
General.
I hope that there isn't a Dragon
Planeswalker
standard deck so that they get really cheap.
Me too. I hope that does not exist.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, our last Planeswalker.
In green, we got Vivian Reed. We've never met her before, I don't think.
We've heard of her.
She's weird flavor text.
I believe she's in some flavor text. I think she's in one of the books or something.
Sure.
People on Reddit seem to know who she is.
Sure. People on Reddit know everything.
Yeah.
So Vivian Reed, this is the one that comes from packs. Vivian Reed is 3 green, 5 loyalty to start, +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. The rest on the bottom in a random order. So out of 4 cards, you're going to get a creature or land. The chances of whiffing are very slim, especially in a green deck. So that's good, right? Extra card draw in green. We're going to get some every turn. It doesn't protect herself, but, we're getting something good for it. -3. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Those are the things green likes to destroy. I mean, 5 mana is too much to pay for that, but I don't hate that ability.
Yeah.
-8. So it starts with 5, 6, 7, 8. So the 4th turn on the table untouched, you get to -8 and get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2 and have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. That is a very significant
That's good
emblem.
Yeah,
vigilance and trample alone are very good in our format because vigilance means we can attack without worry of crackback, and trample means they can't chump anything. And then indestructible is just like we don't even care. Just like send everything to the paint. There we go.
Whatever. I think Vivian's not the worst. She protects herself in that she'll take out a flying creature that you might be worried about. I know you're just always worried about flyers when you have planeswalkers out. So the fact that she can deal with one of them, and in green at 5 mana, you probably already have 1 or 2 creatures out. So
yeah, you probably do.
Put it behind them. Anyways.
So the other green that comes from the battle decks, the planeswalker decks, is Vivian of the Arc Bow, which now makes me think, why is there no Arc Bow equipment? Is there? We just didn't talk about it?
Yeah, there isn't one, but...
Anyways, 4 green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker, +2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature. They word it that way so you can do it on an empty board to plus her if you want to. So that's +2. -3. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So it's a one-way fight.
Yeah.
Not bad. And then -9, so 5, 7, 9. So the 3rd turn on the table, creatures you control get +4/+4 and trample until end of turn. It's like an extra big overrun.
Yeah.
Now we can run overrun for a less mana. It's one. It's one +1/+1 smaller.
Yeah, and it's a one-time thing, but
it's a one-time thing. But so is this.
Basically, this is too. You're right.
You're not going to get this more than once ever.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't. Don't you find it strange that in both of Vivian's cards, in her art, there's these like spirit wolves and like jaguars and stuff, but she doesn't make tokens. She doesn't make creatures.
Yeah, like,
don't you think she should make a creature on one of these planeswalkers? Like, what's going on?
I mean, the +1s, like this is what, like we mentioned this earlier. A planeswalker has to protect themselves, right? And it all comes down to that plus ability, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep doing the plus until you do something about it, and if you don't, I'm gonna ultimate this eventually.
Is she Go ahead.
When the minus protects them, it's not as useful because it's like you're just getting farther and farther away from your goal. You can treat that like a spell, and they have to be so careful not to make the battle deck ones constructive competitive in standard. Otherwise, it's a very big problem for the economy.
They can make them like competitive. They just can't make them like all stars, like driving the deck price up $40 or something. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, this one apparently is pre-selling for $10. Like, but is that just?
But that's because it's the only good card. Like these battle decks, all of these will start around 10 because there's nothing else in the deck that's worth any money.
I think maybe if, like, I actually like the idea that the minus is how you protect it. The plus is like the bonus, right? So that way, like you get to choose. Like you still can protect her, but it makes her a little more fragile. But if you have a board already, you don't need to worry about that. You can just start plussing them right away. So like, it rewards you for having a board set up, basically. I don't mind that. And I'm thinking, like, I guess the reason they made it so that she didn't just make token creatures is because that was Garrick's thing. That's what Garrick would do. He'd come out and make beasts, and then his ultimates were overrun things. So like, really she is just Garrick without the token making. Right?
Which is the whole thing.
I know.
Right? Like,
what else is she supposed to do, I guess? Like, if I guess my thing was like she should have been like pure anti-flying if she's all this if she's like an archer, or she's pure like fighting creatures. Like that, maybe that was, I don't know. I'm not that impressed with these Vivians, but I don't hate them. They're fine, whatever.
I'm happy to meet her. I think she seems lovely. I would like to see more from Vivian.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, exactly.
I want to see that sick arc bow.
The pack, the pack from the Vivian from the packs seems pretty good, I think, maybe. And this one is not that great.
Yeah.
I'm very underwhelmed by all of these commanders, to be honest with you. Or sorry, I keep saying commanders. Planeswalkers. I'm not really stoked about hardly any of them. Yeah, my favorite Johnny is like pretty bad, I think. He's my boy, but he's not great. I don't know. I like the Liliana Untouched by Death one for zombies, and I don't mind, I guess.
Liliana Untouched by the Wizards.
Yeah, right. Anyways, so whatever. This is Commander. We're not really too worried about Planeswalkers anyways. Guess what? We had a bunch of Elder Dragons this turn, this time around. We got some sweet cards. So what do you think about M19 as a whole, now that we're done all the cards?
It's so tough to come back from Dominaria. Like no matter what's after Dominaria is a tall order, because I remember looking at it just being like, so the first thing I do with a new set is look up all the legendaries. I'm like, what? Yeah. There's only 10 of them? And it was like, 10 is a lot of legendaries.
10's pretty good, yeah.
Right? But like after Dominaria, I'm just like, what do you mean? We had like 30 last time. Like we're a bit spoiled in that regard.
We are.
And the fact that it's a core set also means we don't get any like fun new mechanics to play with in Commander. It's like every card just does what other cards already do. So like that's a little bit of a... I hate to say I'm disappointed with this game because it's the best game that there is. And they're constantly knocking it out of the park. They're just the work they do is incredible. But when you're next to great sets like Dominaria, it makes everything that is already just very, very good. Like if this was the only thing Magic was, it'd be like, this is a very good game.
Yeah, this is great. This is good.
But we just it's just so hard not to be down on it and just think that it's boring and simple.
Is it weird to think that I'm going to be trying to still draft Dominaria while M19 is out?
That's not weird at all, man. I'm with you.
Now, obviously, like we're a Commander podcast, but we do play a lot of Limited too. We do like Limited a lot, so that's why you've noticed that we're talking about it a fair amount. Yeah. But for Commander specifically, I love the Elder Dragons. Although I gotta say, it's hard to live up to. Well, first, look, the original Elder Dragons aren't that good, so it's not like they had a lot to live up to that way. But I guess it's hard to live up to expectations when you've got an entire format named after a specific type of card you had. Like, we expect these to be very, very good and very extremely playable as commanders and all this type of stuff. And it's like, they're going to miss on something, right? They're not going to nail every single thing. So I love the Nicol Bolas. I love, I love the, I like Chromium. I like the weirdness of a Victis Asmati, and I guess Arcades is cool too. Like, it's got its own very narrow thing that it does. Palladium Wars to me is a bit of a miss. I think that's just too vanilla, too boring. I'm bummed out that the Naya Dragon, which should be the biggest, scariest one according to what we know Naya as now, is not that really. It's not even the biggest. It's not even the biggest. The biggest one is one that's not green, which is bizarre.
Yeah, Esper. The Esper one's
the
biggest.
Esper one's the biggest? Okay, sure.
And it's not an artifact or anything.
Right,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't think it's like a big miss for the Elder Dragons, but it's... I don't know. What is it? To me, it's like maybe a 7 out of 10. 6 out of 10 as a whole. And then the mono-colored legendaries aren't great. There's some very good reprints here. We're happy about Omniscience. We're happy about...
Crucible of Worlds.
Crucible. We're happy about Scapeshift even, I think, is really great to be reprinted.
They're killing the reprint game.
So I mean, while still leaving out some key ones, let's be honest. But still, I think in general, this set is pretty underwhelming. The same way I feel about the Planeswalkers. The same way I feel about the Elder Dragons and the other legendaries, it's a little underwhelming. Is that because you're coming up against, I think, one of my favorite sets of all time, Dominaria? Maybe that's why. Maybe we'd feel a little differently if it wasn't on the heels of such a great set, both for Limited and for Commander.
Yeah, if this was after Rivals of Ixalan, like maybe this is just no matter what you do after Dominaria is gonna feel a little bit underwhelming. So might as well put a core set there. Like might as well not like if you have if there's an exciting block just around the corner, I'm glad it's not right now. Right? Yeah. I'm glad that the core set takes this bullet.
This is a nice palate cleanser, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So, and honestly, I mean, I wasn't missing core sets at all, because they very rarely offered that, like, anything good for Commander. They'd offer a couple of key reprints, but they can't reprint anything too good in these things because it still affects Standard and everything. So, you know, they've always been fairly underwhelming, and this one's no different, even though they included what should be really, really good Commander cards and instead end up being like, well, these are okay. Like, these are neat. Like, you know, we'll build a deck or two around these, but they didn't blow my socks off. They didn't knock my socks off there.
My socks are currently planted firmly on my feet.
Exactly. Well, despite that, though, you know, there are definitely some good things in here, and happy to see a new set no matter what's going on. Hopefully the draft portion will be good, and hopefully maybe these Elder Dragons will turn out to be a little bit better as commanders than maybe I think. I don't know. But thanks for sticking with us for this long review. As always, these are a bit longer than normal.
Yes.
I don't think we have a Brews News for after this because you've been listening for 2.5 hours. So
yeah, we don't always do a Brews News after a set review episode.
Yeah. But thank you very much for listening, and let us know your thoughts on M19 in the YouTube comments, or if you want to write a review on iTunes, you can even just write that. Just tell us what you think of M19, because guess what? It doesn't matter. Give us that 5-star review, and it helps out the show so much. Battle of the Brews is coming. For all of you who've been asking us about that, we've said this before, but we had a bit of a snag with getting the money from Kickstarter, but guess what? We got it now. Our gear's on the way. We're lining up shooting dates, and it will be coming, and we'll keep you definitely up to date on that.
Some of our gear's already here.
Exactly. So
yeah,
we're about to get going on this, and we cannot wait.
Yes, it may seem like it's been a long time, but this is all like, that's how long it takes a show to get off the feet, right?
Yeah.
By the time the funds Kickstarter processes them, by the time we do the research and try out some gear and figure out what works best within our budget, once we get those, then we got to lock the people down, the day down. But I tell you, all this pre-work, once this is done, we'll be able to like get it rolling. We're very close.
Yeah, very, very close. Very, very stoked about shooting our first day of Battle of the Brews, and we'll be posting lots of pictures and stuff. You can follow us on Instagram. A lot of people don't know we have an Instagram account. We'll be posting a lot of stuff to there, so check it out. We're at Commanders Brew on Instagram too. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye. If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.